Yay! Woohoo! I got it right. Howdy, all. I gotta hide that. I know we got a gang that's going to be online today. What up?
I remember when I could remember cinnamon and paraffin the FedEx.
Oh, for ear seed stuff? Yeah.
And then lung, what's the one I mentioned? Lung, kidney, and what?
Liver?
Liver.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Yeah, well, because not this weekend, but next weekend is your, oh, yeah. Oh, no, I got Chinese tomorrow. Western, I think it's June 14th weekend, whatever that is. 13th, 14th. Yeah, shit. But that's but yeah, that'll be barefoot doctrine for y'all. That means I don't have to do it in clinic anymore.
You got to put the room what we're talking about.
But stay in the front of the classroom. It's good. You're not hiding. Space. Do you need to plug in your phone at all?
Take it in the way.
No.
You need to.
We're charged.
You want me to unplug my laptop?
I'm plugged in. We're good. 1,000. That's what it to me the other day in class. Yeah.
At least you saw that it
Yeah.
was sent as one lump.
Yeah. That's so much fun. Yeah. That's other check. It's a huge, yeah, it's so big. I don't. Feel like I. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. As far as I'm really excited when it goes. Some wheat, I think we'll start and get to know. See. And stars. So things. So that's all. So. Baby class yesterday. Start at night.
Yeah, Gray was teaching last night.
He was basically totally different.
Oh,
I'll show you. I took a picture of it. I'll show you after that. Okay, so it's gonna put different stuff in the yeah, that's what I did.
oh, the Ayurvedic tongue. Yes, it is different. Did I had a picture of the Ayurvedic tongue when we learned tongue diagnosis, and it's sometimes I like it, and it shows the thyroid stuff. So I always like it when it does that.
I paid fingers.
Good. It's so close, but yet different. This thing's being weird. Man, there's a gang online. Howdy, y'all. And I'm going to forget to say it 2 minutes from now, but for all of you online, feel free to unmute yourself and just shout out questions because I'll never watch to see the chat or any of that good stuff. So crank up the volume here. I'm assuming you guys can hear me online.
Loud and clear.
Outstanding. Thank you. All right. Well, normally I wait till 5 minutes after just because it's Florida, everybody goes slow, but I'm not going to do that today because I'm quite sure I'll run over by a few minutes, but it's hard to crank all of this into 2 hours. I do this as a 2-day class for our more advanced students. But I'll slow down and say, hey, I'm Bob. For any of you I don't know, I know I see some new faces online. So yay. The recording of this, whether you're in person or online, everybody's going to get the recording. So like, don't feel like you have to scribble notes furiously. You can hear it. It's too much information. I talk too fast. So it's all good. I do this class every year for a good reason. It's like, yay, free class, it's marketing. The reality, when I was in acupuncture school, I was there for the herbs, not for anything else. I really didn't care about any other stuff. I knew a lot of herb stuff at Western and Caribbean herbs. And what I saw was not only were the student practitioners hesitant about using herbs, and they were just like sticking pokey things in people, the reality was the patients were really hesitant as well. And it was a fear that was going on that somehow herbs were unregulated, they were unsafe, and especially if you were taking a medication, then it was extra scary. And I knew if I was going to use herbs as my mainstay of my practice, I was going to have to really figure out how do I make sure that I'm educating the public in such a way that A, they think I'm telling the truth, and B, wow, that's not what I want. But also that I am ensuring that I'm doing the best that I can to ensure safety. And the reality is, it's funny because we kind of want it in two things, and so does the medical community. Either herbs, we can't say it's natural, it's safe. Arsenic's natural, not real safe. And we also hear from herbs don't work, but they're really dangerous. We're like, wait, how can I have both of those things to be true? They're either doing something or they're not. If I know how to use them appropriately, then they should be safe-ish, right? Walking across the street's not that safe sometimes either. So we need to ensure we're being as safe as we can. And so I saw that people, whether they were clients, people who were coming to get herbs, or for the practitioners in a bunch of different versions, wow, I don't know why I'm doing that. That they are, how do we teach them all so that it's not risk-free, but we minimize the risks dramatically, that we're getting good outcomes? And it was funny, it was probably about 15 years ago, I really started to change the way I teach this. And for any of you who have taken this class before, I decided to teach it in a very different way tonight. So sorry, I actually switched things around a little bit just to make it more interesting. When you hear herb-drug interactions, you think negative stuff. That's bad. We want to avoid those. The reality is, what we don't talk about and we should be talking about, and if there's any medical professionals, we should be collaborating on as much as humanly possible, and that is good herb-drug interactions. Some of you know them. Like if you take an antibiotic, you should take a probiotic. Minimizes the gastrointestinal stuff, yeast infections, all that fun stuff. If you're on a statin drug, cholesterol medication, taking CoQ10 reduces your risks of side effects. And so, although I've taught positive herb-drug acupuncture classes out at conferences and things like that. I was like, you know what? We should change our instinctual response to how we hear those words to say like, no, this is a good thing. So rather than doing all the scary stuff first, I decided to do the really positive stuff first because I don't think everybody was half asleep by the time I got to that. And sometimes I didn't even have time. So I want to start with the good end of all of this, and then we'll start to look at the safety. And one of the things I always say is there's not a lot of research out there any way you slice it. And so we really go on clinical experience most of all, or likelihood of risk. And I always teach this class. I assume that half the people in here are just general public trying to be safe. They're taking supplements they get from the health food store, and that's nothing wrong with that. So how do you use those safely? And for my students, graduates, acupuncturists, and other medical professions, how can we quickly and effectively minimize those risks? And so I do my very best to do that. If for my students, you'll get a 1 or 2 day intensive where we look at all the energetics, prescription medications. We'll go into a lot more depth so that we can get even fancier with it. But honestly, wherever you are in the realm, what we cover tonight, you can feel pretty good that you'll really minimize the potential for side effects with it. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. You can have a cup of tea and have an allergic reaction to it. So you never really know. But the way I always like to, I stole the good 5 minutes for everybody else. But there we go. I always like to say my training, I literally started learning when I was about 8 years old. My more, I wouldn't call it formal training, but more focused training. I grew up in the Bahamas after elementary school in New York City, ended up in the out islands of the Bahamas. And I didn't know Noel was what I would now call a shaman, but I will now. So that's Noel Boodle. And I spent like 3 years with him working on a conch and lobster boat. And we would be sitting there. He would just be teaching me the plants from both a physical medicine as well as a spiritual energetic medicine. I just didn't appreciate it at 14 or whatever it was. And the list of folks that I learned from constantly is endless and continue to learn. And for my students, they're always like, I don't know anything. I was like, I always say my students are really smart. They know a lot of stuff, but the only point of comparison they have is me, and that's not fair. So Ruthie, who's one of the other teachers and practitioners here, she's been doing it almost as long as I have, but I still study about 2 hours every night. And so somewhere during the day, I studied probably 3 hours, 4 hours today, just prepping for this and looking at new research and things like that. So I am a freak of nature. Please don't ever think you have to do that much. It's not necessary. If you don't know, we have lots of cool things going on here. The biggest thing nobody knows is we have this really cool space. If you've never been here before and you haven't been out back, please do whenever you leave. There's a beautiful garden out there, and it's a garden that's for the community. We added the tea and coffee truck back there that's open Wednesday through Sunday from 8 until 1, I think. And then a lot of times we have events out there in the garden. But the garden, whether the tea truck's open or not, please go out there and look at the plants, touch them, smell them. Don't eat them. Some of them are poisonous. But everything out there is either food or medicine. So it's super appropriate to bring your lunch, sit out there at the tables and hang out. It's actually nice in the shade, and we even have fans that we can turn on, things like that. Also, everybody seems to forget we actually are a plant nursery and everything else. So we have really weird plants because they're all medicinal plants, few edibles, but mostly medicinal plants. And Avita's out there Wednesday through Sunday. Usually she gets here about 8:30 and takes off around 2 or 3. So you're always welcome to come by. She will talk your ear off with super geeky stuff. She loves that kind of thing. And there are lots of cool classes. There's a few oddballs that are open for everybody. The topical herbs for pain. So we're going to be looking at both Western and Chinese herbs of everything from poultices to liniments and how we can combine herbs together for specific issues. I think it's a fun class. We'll do a little medicine making and no prerequisites for that at all. If you've never been here for the drum, I'm not a drum circle guy. I love our drum circle. It's not actually my event. Somebody else puts it on and we just lease the space. It's fun. It's free. Unique set of vendors. Even if you're not into drumming, it's a good time. And although we had a problem, I know I'm skipping a few, but I want to hit just the highlights. we had a problem was that just last week, I think, that Facebook decided it hated me. But the last Friday of every month from 6 to 8, we do an open forum, which is an opportunity for you to just pick my brain. So people email in questions, or people would just jump on the chat during Facebook Live and type in questions. I've been doing it since COVID because I missed doing this. And so when we got out of all of our insanity with that, I was like, this is kind of cool. I'm going to keep doing it. So the last 5 years or whatever it's been are also archived on the YouTube page for the school. So there's a lot of really good information in there. The last one is almost cut off on the bottom. Actually, there's two last ones. There's a blood work series. I think that's one of the most difficult things for herbalists and the general public is you go to the doctor, you get your CBC and CMP, and he goes, looks great. And you go like, why are these 6 things in the red? And why do I feel like crap? And so it's actually a 3-evening series. And you'll get it from me, Trisha, who's the school director, and Martina, who's one of the other practitioners, looking at it from different angles. But how do we take that basic blood work and understand what it's telling us, but also kind of how to get the doctors to order the tests that they probably should be, and taking a little bit more of a proactive role in your own healthcare. Too often we're marginalized in how we just walk in blindly. We're like, I don't feel good. Thanks for the drugs. And we walk back out like a zombie. And we can be more active than that in our own well-being with all of that and demanding of the doctors and the healthcare system what we need to be getting. And the last one is I really like my puppies. I like cats too, but I'm definitely a dog person. But we're doing a weekend intensive animal care that's looking at herbs and acupressure specifically for your pets. And again, no prerequisites. Bonus if you're one of our students, it'll be easier. And a lot of times on Sunday, if we got 1 or 2 pets that people bring in, it's value added. But that's a fun one we do usually once a year. So if for any reason you miss it, that's a fun one to jump in on. Yes. I started doing this for my public classes. It's so stupid, but I'm not going to read that to you. So I'm going to start. I have a freakish background. I will spare you all the details, but my mother was a medical writer. She had 40 books that she'd written all in the medical realm. She dropped out of med school in I think her last year to become a writer instead of a doctor, which was strange enough, but she wanted me to be a doctor since I was this tall. So in the 3rd grade, my very first formal science class, she was so excited for me. She was like, I want you to really impress your science teacher. And she made me memorize ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Yes, I can do that without reading the board. And that's fancy talk for ontogeny, the development of the fetus from egg and sperm meeting, multicellular on up, recapitulates, repeats, phylogeny, the phylum. So at some point we have gills, and so those things you can barely read them, but like this is kind of showing that it's like, look, we were a fish and a salamander and a turtle and a chicken, and it's not true. So when my mom went to med school, that was the belief. And the science changed. So as time goes on, as the science changes, our knowledge changes. So you can never stop learning this stuff. And when it comes to herb-drug interactions, in particular, because there's very little science out there, we constantly need to be refreshing what we learn with all of it. I love that picture, actually. So it's really, I love the statistics. I haven't updated this in a couple of years, but I assume it's about the same. We are so lucky in the US because we have literally, I could throw a rock and hit 3 medical practices from here. And that's a great thing. The idea that we have literally every few blocks, another medical practitioner, specialist. I don't even know how many hospitals we have in this area. That is such a blessing. And the reality, that is not true for much of the world. They're lucky if they have a doctor, much less a hospital, within hundreds of miles. And so in those countries, according to the World Health Organizations, 2/3 of the world uses herbs as their primary form of medicine. And they're still alive. And they do have effective care for a lot of their stuff. You break an arm, it's bonus to have a doctor. You get appendicitis or stroke, like, no, you want to have a hospital, but they don't always have access to that. So it's really important, like for thousands of years, this stuff has worked. And it's only in the last 200 years that in these modern places, Europe and here, that herbs have now been kind of sidelined for this newer medicine. And I'll quote David Winston, my herbalist man crush. Um, that's all right. And Michael, I know you're listening. I've already told him that I say that all the time. I had dinner with him a couple of weeks ago. But when he talks about indigenous culture, when we talk about the First Nation people here in the US, we're like, they were the dominant culture here for many years. And so the Europeans came over, and now the Europeans and the people who came over from Europe and so forth, they're the dominant culture. There's still Native American people here, but the dominant culture is now the Europeans and the way we do things. And so the same is true of medicine. Herbal medicine was the dominant medicine for thousands of years. And now Western medicine is the dominant medicine. The way we're going, we might come back. We'll see on that one. And it used to be, if we went back to like pre-World War II or thereabouts, 75% of all the medications came from herbs, that they were alkaloids that were being pulled out of there. It's changed really in the last probably 40 or 50 years. We now have only about 25% of our prescription medications or over-the-counter medications. About 25% are actually coming directly from herbs, that we're growing plants in order to make medicine. So there's been a shift. Whether that's good or bad doesn't matter. And I'll say one of the things that we as herbalists get yelled at is like, we're a multi-billion-dollar industry. And that's not an exaggeration. Like, no, there's a lot of people selling a lot of stuff, and that's supplements are all kind of wrapped into all of that. And the reality, one of the biggest issues with us as herbalists, when a doctor writes you a script, he's not getting paid $1 for that. If I sell you herbs out of here and recommend them, honestly, I make $1 off of it, right? It covers my overhead. And so you have to, with a prescription, you go to a different place, you go to a pharmacy, and they make money off of it, the pharmaceutical company that makes it. And so the potential for us to go like, oh, some of you guys got nice cars, I think you need a few more supplements today. That's a very real issue with our industry. We do overprescribe potentially if we're not paying attention to that kind of stuff. And I see it all the time. People come in, especially in student clinic, they bring in the suitcase of stuff that somebody else gave them or 10 other people gave them. And it was like, nope, nope, nope. And it's not bad. It's just like somebody overgave them stuff. And I don't think that's necessary. And I think us as practitioners working with natural medicine, we need to check ourselves. And just, it's an ethical issue. And it's a valid argument against the natural health industry. We are motivated to sell you stuff, right? That's how a lot of people make a lot of money with that. So I threaten I'm going to start with the good stuff. And so one of my many reasons for teaching this class as a free class rather than a normal pay one, I think it's so important so that we're not getting negative things. But I really want to change the way we think about herbs and drugs. That should be that rocks, right? That's going to be one of the best things that we can do, is taking those herbs and those drugs together to minimize the side effects of those prescription medications, because sometimes you need a prescription medication, like for real. And not only will we reduce the side effects, we're going to increase the effectiveness. We're going to make your drugs work better. Like, and that's a bold ass statement that I just made. And it's backed up by the science. And I will say that I see it every day in practice. That people, they don't necessarily stop their medications, but they're able to work with their doctors to reduce it down to the lowest therapeutic dosage, which means less side effects. That's a big deal. So a couple of examples. I could spend an entire day just talking about what you see on here. But I want to focus on one in particular. And I'll also say, for some of you, you're probably here like, no, I'm taking 27 medications and 14 supplements. Is that safe? I'm more than happy to hang out afterwards and we'll answer lots of questions that are like more personal questions like that. But I hate to say, you're going to get recorded asking it, so you can hide off camera if you want. I did this. It was funny. Michael, who's online, was quizzing me about AI. I will say I do use AI mostly to make really funny pictures. I have way too much fun doing that. And I checked my genealogy last night. It turns out Linde comes from the German. I knew that. And it was about the linden tree, which is really good medicine. And then Mater, which is my mother's maiden name, is the people who either are of the mud or the marsh or live near it. So I was like, I'm all about some mud and growing some trees. So I thought I was like in the right profession based on my lineage. But I did a quick like, and I always do ask it a couple of different ways, but I was like, what is some researched herb drug combinations that have improved outcomes, and list your sources. And I will encourage you all, if you're going to use AI for any kind of research, always tell AI to list your sources and click on it. If you don't click on it, it might be literally some BS garbage that has no relevance whatsoever. And so I clicked on all of these resources. Was it great research? No. They were meta studies mostly. But they were decent PubMed kind of studies that shows there are positive herb drug interactions and they're being documented and researched. So it's like it's out there. I will say, I was talking about something else. There are certain disorders that you should not do certain herbs with. Bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is one of those things where things like rhodiola are contraindicated. And I know that albizia, which is mimosa tree, is also contraindicated specifically with bipolar 2. So guess what? AI got some of the herbs right. And I was like, mimosa's not on that list. For any Chinese medicine folks, that's He Huan Hua, He Huan Pi. And so I was like, ask more specifically, like mimosa, I used the Latin name, I used the Chinese name, specifically with bipolar. No, it said it was great for it. I'm here to tell you it's not. So AI has not caught up yet with herbs and disease. Like it's got some really basic stuff, but please, please, please don't rely on AI to give you herbal advice. It has some huge gaping flaws and holes in there. That may change in 6 months to a year. It's constantly evolving. We're all using it for better or worse. It does make really funny pictures. And some of these are up here we'll talk about as we
Learning how
go.
to spell that.
Yeah. Yeah, my AI spells Chinese really well. There we go. I think I just skipped one. Nope, I got it right. So if you don't know it, we're worried about Ebola and SARS and all this other stuff. The reality, we're probably going to die from some stupid bacteria because of the overuse of antibiotics. And antibiotics, like we're probably all here today because of antibiotics, that we're alive. Antibiotics, if you get a bacterial infection, it will save your life. What was it I just saw? Is it 6 or 7 cases of flesh-eating bacteria from the beaches just in the last 2 weeks? Yay, don't you want to go to the beach now? And that one's actually hard to fix with antibiotics, but guess what? You will die if you don't get antibiotics. I was like, herbs might be a part of that, but I'm like, no, I'll go to the hospital if I get flesh-eating bacteria. And what it is it's great, but it's overused. So it's too often, and doctors are getting way better about it. It used to be they were like, you don't feel good, here's an antibiotic, have a nice day, just to get you out the door. And the reality is when it was clearly a viral disorder or a fungal disorder, and it doesn't work for that. Antibiotics work for bacteria, and that's the only thing they should be used for. But one of the worst aspects of it is that we still are using 50% of antibiotics that are made are used for the meat industry. So we're feeding our chickens, our cows, all of our other critters. We're feeding those to keep them from dying in the factory farming. And so they're creating that bacterial resistance that's then passed on to us. So what you found is like, oh, when I was a kid, these were the antibiotics that we used. Most of those don't work anymore. There's too much bacterial resistance to those first line antibiotics that we used to use. So now what do? We hand out Cipro. And most of you are old enough to remember Cipro. We used that in 9/11. Remember there was anthrax, there were like big anthrax scare came through the mail. And they're like, oh my God, we have to give this really strong antibiotic to all of these people who are exposed to the mail or and it was Cipro. Now we give it out for UTIs, urinary tract infections. And like literally candy, I could buy it online right now, legally, like, and a bunch of other ones. So what we're finding is now when you get more complex, and it's going to keep happening, Cipro is going to be less effective another 10 years from now because of the overuse of it. So it's like, take it when you need it, take it correctly. And a lot of people don't do that. They're like, I feel better. My infection's cleared up. I'm going to just stop taking it, save them for later. That's how we make really strong super bacteria. So literally that will be the end of humanity at some point, I'm sure. So now you're going to learn all about bacteriology. So that's my really cute picture of a bacterium. And I need to work with AI to put a little smiley face on it. It would be way better. So there are three ways that we know of on how bacteria resist your antibiotics. One is the efflux pump, kind of up there on the top of that guy. I think of it as a bilge pump. It's literally what happens as the antibiotics come in and gets into the bacterium. It basically isolates it and spits it out. And so it's just like, haha, I lived. And the other one, and it gets a little weird, is a quorum. And for those of you who attended student government, a quorum was an agreement, right? A quorum, when we talk about it with bacteria, is it's the ability to communicate. So bacteria literally go, yo, somebody's coming with some chemicals that are bad for us. Run, set up your defenses. And so if we break those lines of communication between the bacteria, then they're not able to put up their defenses and resist whatever stuff we're putting at them. The last of the biofilm, we hear a lot of talk in the alternative health realm about biofilms. I call it a Klingon cloaking device. Sorry, I'm showing my geekiness. But a biofilm, basically think mucus, that it hides the bacteria from our immune system. And so think of it as phlegm for my energetic folks. But literally, it encapsulates this little protective barrier around the bacterium. So all of our white blood cells and all that good stuff that comes and tries to fight infection isn't able to see it, and it's able to reproduce. So if we can break those things up to make a bacterium visible to our immune system, then we're able to be more effective. So antibiotics, they're great, but sometimes these bacteria get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they reproduce really fast. They're everywhere, on every surface, on our skin, in our gut, everywhere. So what we can do, we talk about antibiotics, we take probiotics to prevent the side effects. There is, obviously my computer doesn't want to advance. There, too fast. There are a number of herbs that are well researched. Again, I cheated and used AI. These I've talked about forever. I asked for the top 20 most recently researched herbs that affect the efflux pump and have a positive interaction with antibiotics. And it was a bunch of things with berberine in them. So there was golden seal, Oregon grapefruit, Huanglian Chinese, and the list went on and on and on. And that was me just asking for the top 20. Most of those also worked on the quorum and on the biofilms. So it's like, and this is out there. It's well researched. It's been researched for well over 20 years. I know there's cool Chinese things up here, but licorice is licorice. Different species, it has the same effect. Both the Western species of licorice has been researched as well as the Chinese. And that one specifically affects the efflux pump and seems to have a slight effect on the quorum. Andrographis, although it's a Chinese herb and an Ayurvedic herb, it's showing up in Western herbalism dramatically. And we say, oh, it's a great antimicrobial, it's specific for the throat. It's in the mint family, so other than it tasting really bad, it has phenomenal antimicrobial effects and generally very safe. And works on all three things, efflux, quorum, and on the biofilms. Dandelion, just good old dandelion. The leaves, roots, flowers, all of it can be used. All of them work on all three aspects. And anything with berberine in it. Berberine is an alkaloid. And it's funny, it's sold for all kinds of things. It's being sold as a herbal GLP. It's being sold as an anti-inflammatory. It's being sold as a digestive. It's being sold. I like dirty herbs. I don't like isolated alkaloids. And so whether we're using the Chinese coptis, sometimes called golden thread, whether we're using golden seal, Oregon grapefruit, yellow root from Georgia, all of these things that happen to have this alkaloid actually work better when we use the whole plant because there's 10,000 chemicals in there instead of just one alkaloid that we're isolating. So the list is endless that we can use for this. And I choose these herbs just because there's a convenient pill that's very commonly sold that has most of those, plus some other ones that there's good research for. The Banlangan doesn't translate, so I didn't want to be too Chinesey on everybody. But it has the Andigraphis, it has the dandelion, the Taxicum in there, and Banlangan is Isotachus. And sometimes there's another herb that's tossed in there for fun. It's made into a pill. It can be used as a tincture. It works to make your antibiotics work better. So doing antibiotics works great. Doing this Andigraphis formula works great. Put the two together and it will work even better and prevent the bacterial resistance that we all fear every time we take the antibiotics. So this is one of my favorite things. Literally, like Western medicine recognizes this is a huge dilemma for us as a species on the earth. That this is going to continue to dramatically impact us because as we get these stronger and stronger antibiotics, we see more and more side effects. So everything we can do to resist this ongoing fear of bacterial resistance. And literally, so I'm like, oh, this is your third round of antibiotics? You so need to be taking this with it. It will work better. Are there risks of negative herb drug interactions? The biggest thing I would say is it would probably drop your blood sugar, even though it's not for that. So you would have to monitor your blood sugar. That would be the big scary that I would say with this formula. I'm just like, we could, I don't think we'll have time, but like if we have time, we can delve more into the positive herb drug interactions. But now I'll get to the scary stuff. It's not very scary because it's not very common. I will tell you in 25 years of formal practice, maybe I've seen 2 herb drug interactions and they were minor. They weren't like, oh, go to the hospital. I was like, oh, sorry, I dropped your blood pressure, your blood sugar too low. That's literally been the big scary things. I will also tell you, as we get to the last few slides here, I practice exactly the way I'm telling you here. Like, this is what I do. There may be extra stuff in my head. We've got extra references that we can play with. But the reality is like, no, it's not that hard, really. So I'll start with, yay, references. Oh, and I want to be able to. There are many books out there on herb drug interactions. This is my personal favorite. Toss that around. This is, I think, the 4th edition. It's Francis Brinker. There are many reasons I like that. It's very focused on Western herbs. There's not a lot of Chinese herbal medicine in here. It's like pretty much all the most common Western ones. Oops, there's you go. Obviously I need another copy. He goes through, and it's not just like, ooh, be afraid with this herb and that drug. He will actually list in there the actual research that they're referencing and whether it was a test tube study, whether it was a mouse study, whether it was a human study, whether it's total conjecture, which there's a lot of that, by the way. You'll see so many things. It may cause it, not it will, or there's research supports. It usually just like, we're not really sure, but it seems like that's a bad idea. Literally, that's what most of the stuff is. And so this allows you to make your own decisions by looking at the actual research. And I will say test tube studies they're not useless. Test tube studies tell us we should do more research. That's all it tells us. Mouse studies don't even tell us a lot because I don't know about y'all, but I don't have a lot of mouse DNA in me. My nose gets a little twitchy sometimes, but that's about it. So like we want to see some sort of human study. Now I got a hard question. How many of y'all are shooting up herbs? Come on. Nobody? Me neither. Could you imagine how hard? Come here, little fluffy mouse. I want you to eat these herbs. That's not how they do it. They either will isolate a chemical out of that herb and inject it into the mouse, right? Or they might even make a solution out of the whole herb and inject that. They either put it in the muscle, sometimes into a vein, sometimes directly into their digestive system. And by changing the mode of administration, oral versus IV or something similar, it will process through our body differently and we'll get different reactions. And here's the cool thing. In China and India, they do injectable herbs. in the hospital alongside medications. If you go to a hospital and you're having a stroke, you get an IV of salvia militarizia in one arm as you get whatever the drugs for heart attacks and blood thinner in the other. And they get better outcomes. So there is research to support that. I don't read Chinese, so we have to hope that somebody translates that, and we're not about to see that in our medical system. So the reality is, by taking it orally in doses that are pretty reasonable, we're generally okay. The other part that I really like about this book, all herbs, all medications have side effects, right? Some of them are good and some of them are bad, right? If you're taking something for blood pressure and it lowers your blood pressure, that's good. But if you're passing out, dropping down, that would be bad. And most of these medications also create nutritional deficiencies over time. And so we see things like, if you're on an acid reflux med, it's reducing your stomach acid. You need that acid in order to break down and absorb your minerals. So calcium, magnesium, iron, all of those things, long term, if you're on acid reflux med, is going to be depleted in your body. B12 comes from a lot of it. We see a bunch of different things that come from birth control, very normal things. And so, unfortunately, it's not always on the package, and the MDs aren't telling us about that. So he talks about the nutritional deficiencies from all of your prescription, not all, many of your prescription medications in the appendix in the back. And I usually say, if you're doing CoQ10, or if you're doing a statin drug, a cholesterol med, take some CoQ10. He goes through and looks at the herbs that will get there. I'm usually like, you're on an acid reflux med, here's some multi-mineral. That's easier sometimes than 27 new herbal teas. But nonetheless, the information in here is phenomenal. And there is I need to put that on there. On the back, oh, there it is. On the back of this book, he has updates, i.e., as new research comes out, he puts that on the website. He's usually about a year behind, which is better than anybody else out there. So,
I'm sorry, I must have missed the name of that. Can you tell me the name of that again, please?
Herbal Contradictions and Drug Interactions by Francis Brinker. He's a naturopathic doctor. So I'm going to generically say, this book's all right. I don't love it. I actually prefer Brinker because of the way he puts it. The fact that this has supplements in it. The big thing I look for, whether I'm going online and looking at a reference for herb drug interactions or a book, I like books, but online's convenient, I admit. I want to make sure there's an herbalist on there, whether it's a naturopathic physician, whether it's an acupuncture physician, some sort of an herbalist from some tradition is in there advising. So pharmacists, great. They should have a lot of chemists and pharmacists and doctors. Those are the mainstays. They need to understand the drugs and some of the crazy words we'll say here in a minute. But somebody needs to understand the herbs. And those guys don't. And that's the problem. And hopefully I'll get to that, pass that guy around if you want. Because there's been a lot of huge mistakes made because there wasn't somebody who knows what they're talking about with herbs. And an herbalist should be on every research thing on herbs, right? Like, we need everybody's input, everybody's knowledge and on that things. I don't think we'll make it through all of these. Some of my favorite rants are the last few. Cool if we make it, but it's probably less relevant. Yes.
Right. As far as like medications and like herbal interactions, a provider.
Yeah.
Are there apps or websites that you would recommend?
I've got a few at the end. I got a couple of resources on there, and one I just learned about. Unfortunately, it costs money, so I haven't checked it out, but I heard nice things about it. So this is funny, and I think it's important because this actually, I think it's important that we listen to everybody's stuff. I listen to pharmaceutical stuff all day long. I read as many I won't consider myself well-trained in pharmacy. I didn't go to pharmacy school. It's like, that's an actual PhD. And so I'll listen to like the keynote speakers. It's usually, you can find those things online. This was probably from like 5 or 6 years ago. And it was a question, it's probably been more like 10 or 15. The topic was the challenges that the pharmaceutical industry are facing going into the 21st century. And I was like, no, I want to know what those things are. And one of the conversations they were having, and this has been repeated by many different professionals, there is so little research on drug-drug interactions. To my knowledge, and I checked this probably a year ago, there is zero research on 4 or more prescription medications. My record, I think, was 23 prescription medications that a 30-something-year-old woman came in and wanted to have a child. And it took us 3 years to work with her doctor to get her down to the 3 she actually needed, like for real. And she has 2 kids now. So it's one of those things where we need more science on that. There's some, ooh, this goes through the same pathways, like that's out there. We can guess at a lot of them. But the idea that when we see so many people in polypharmacy, right? It's very normal for people to come in here on 8 prescription medications. Like that's not weird. So they recognize that's an issue. They need better information on it. Most medications and most of the research is kind of that 50 percentile. It's not for, and I hate to say, if you're here, if you're in the herb program, if you're a client, you're probably way 3-4 standard deviations off the side. You're not getting the care that you want from the medical community. They're geared towards the 50 percentile. They're all the people in the middle who fit in there. And so if you're young, if you're old, if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, you have weird genetic crap, they really aren't sure how it's going to act in your body. And so when you start to see these weird adverse events, they're not, the pharmacists are probably well trained. The doctors only memorize the middle. Mm-hmm. They really know the middle really well. And they're really good at treating that and helping those people and so forth. But all you outliers, y'all are in trouble. They're not made for you. And so it doesn't mean it won't work. It just means you need to be super cautious. And the medical industry isn't great at slowly being cautious. They're like, here's your drug. This is what I give everybody who's roughly like you. Let's see what happens. And then they'll change it if they need to. And so that's not always the most effective thing. One of the other things that we don't look at and don't talk about a lot is how your particular medical conditions, and this genetics and so forth, how those may change the way a drug processes through your body and is eliminated through your body. We'll get fancy on that for a second. And the reality is, if I'm taking an acid reflux medication, and you're not, I'm going to pick on you just because you're here. If we take the same acid reflux, or we take whatever, let's say we took a blood pressure medication, my stomach acid is different from yours. It's going to process different. And I'll give you another example. I have a genetic condition. I have hemochromatosis. Fancy talk for my body doesn't know what to do with iron, so it stores it in the body instead of excretes it. So I have to be really careful with my iron-rich foods. It can cause all kinds of crappy things. And it puts me at a higher risk for things like strokes and scary stuff like that. So if and we saw with the vaccines, the COVID vaccines, there was a lot of blood-related issues. It was messing with women's menses. It was causing some clotting disorders temporarily, but they were out there. Do you think they tested it specifically on anybody with hemochromatosis? Probably not. So that's pretty scary. And so as we look at that, we have to think about what side effects and how does that affect me as an individual? And that's really important that we start to look at those things. And one of the scary things is counterfeit or adulterated prescription medications. And what we find is most medications are not made in the United States. They're made in FDA-approved labs where they get inspected every few years, if you're lucky. And that's for the common medications. But there's a lot of weird diseases you only see occasionally, and those aren't manufactured at the levels that people need. So if you're that 1 percentile disease, there's no drugs down at CVS for you. They have to find them, and sometimes they don't get them from the mainstream distributors. And so we find, and we see it all the time, recalls. You like probably once a month, I read all the headlines. I was like, oh, what drug's being recalled today? And it's usually not a normal day-to-day, like everybody takes metformin and whatever. Those are normal, usually not any problems. It's the weird drugs that you probably never heard of that in a huge population, if you're a 0.5%, that's still hundreds of thousands of people who may have gotten an adulterated drug. Guess what? It happens to the herbal industry too. Like we can't pretend that our herbal supplements are sometimes illegally adulterated with prescription medications. For all of the erectile dysfunction supplements out there, I'd say probably half have prescription drugs in there. They have Cialis or Viagra or whatever in there. And that's why they work so well. It's not the herbs. That's illegal, by the way. Like those people should be in jail. I've actually turned companies into the FDA because I was 100% sure that they were adulterated with drugs. It was literally somebody emailed me. They said, I sent this to a lab, 7 Flowers. You can still buy it on Amazon. Had a blood pressure and a anti-anxiety medication in it. It's still available for sale. 100% positive that it's adulterated with drugs. Turned it into the FDA and nothing was done. And that's sad because, like, in our industry, I want it to be well policed. I don't want it to be adulterated with crud or illegal products. So whether a prescription drug has the wrong stuff or whether an herb has wrong stuff, both of those are illegal. And so it's not a problem with the herbal industry. It's a problem with some crook who's doing stupid things to our stuff. And so, long roundabout way, we want our prescription medications to come from a good company. We want our herbs coming from somebody where we know they've double checked, that they're not just getting crap off the stockroom floor, that somebody's doing safety checks, that they have the right species, that it's not adulterated with prescription drugs or anything else. So all of the issues that we as the herbal or the alternative health industry, the pharmaceutical company, the pharmaceutical industry has many of the same issues. Lots of great companies in both realms, lots of safe companies in both. We just got to make sure we're getting them from those. Internet gets scary. You don't really know what you're getting. All right. How am I doing on time? Sorry. I was like, I can go on for hours. Oh my God, how's it already an hour? It's almost gone by. So when we think about food, drugs, herbs, we think about two really important things. One is, and it's way easy, our pharmacodynamics, and that is hard to say. I just say PD and PK. So when we talk about PD, we're talking about what is that drug doing to our body? Is it lowering my blood pressure? Is it affecting my fertility? Is it lowering my blood sugar? That's the pharmacodynamics. This is what it's supposed to do, right? The kinetics is how does that drug, whether we eat it, inject it on a transdermal patch, however we're doing it, how does it travel through our body and get eliminated by our body? Usually that's through our stomach when we're taking pills, right? Injections have to still go through our circulatory system, usually to our liver. But generally it's our liver and kidneys are processing that drug, breaking it down, and then we excrete it through poop or pee. So guess what? If you're not pooping and peeing, you're not eliminating the drug very fast. And there are some medications that travel through the body really fast, some that can accumulate and do yucky things. And how it processes through our body and how our supplements may affect pee will determine how fast that drug is excreted out of our body. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's easier than you think. We're going to get to that part. Most drugs are not a big deal, honestly. Like it is, it isn't. But like if you're on a prescription drug right now, if it's for blood pressure, if it's for blood sugar, if it's for acid reflux, if you forgot to take your medication, the world won't end. You're like, oh, maybe I get a headache, maybe I get some acid reflux. And it even says on the package, if you forget to take your dosage, just wait till the next day, or it'll say, take it right away, whatever. But it's what we would call, there's not a scary, if you get too much or you don't get enough, you're going to die, right? So that category of medications where really bad things happen if you get too much or too little are called narrow therapeutic margin medications. And these are the ones we should be really cautious. If you're not an herbalist, please don't try to work with these on your own. It's very easy to make mistakes. I've seen so many people make mistakes with these. For herbalists, there's a lot of herbalists. If you're on some of these meds, they won't work with you. I'm uber cautious, and I have way too many cool stories about when, with informed consent with the client or the patient, but I'm like, hey, there's nothing out here that says whether this is or not. Warfarin, there's blood thinners where we have to be really, really careful. And there's other ones where it's like mildly cautious. But if you're on this, and it's so funny, Coumadin is an old school blood thinner. A lot of times you'll see as folks age, they turn all purple, black, and blue. They've got them on really high dosage. They have to go and see how fast their blood's clotting on a regular basis. Sometimes they even send you home with the machine to take your INR, your clotting time. With those, there are a lot of herbs and a lot of supplements that thin the blood. It doesn't change it dramatically, but it will change it. And everything from a fish oil to some of your mints, some of your angelicas, there's just a ton of things. So you have to be careful. And it has to be working with a doctor or a pharmacy that's testing your clotting time. So we can do it, but we got to pay attention because herbs do affect the clotting of your blood. Not all of them, but enough that we have to be cautious. Protease inhibitors is fancy talk for antivirals. Or some antivirals are scarier than others. So if you're on an antiviral for herpes, honestly, whatever. The herbs work better than that medication anyway. You can take them together. It's no big deal. But if you're taking an antiviral for something like HIV or hepatitis C, some short-term, some long-term, you get really bad side effects if that processing time has changed. And there's room up here. We'll put you in the hot seat coming in late. No, we totally mess with you too. So as a general rule, not just with your antivirals, bitter and sour herbs will change how that processes through your liver and through your bowels. That sounds way too basic, but literally anything really bitter and anything really sour is going to change how things go through. Sour herbs tend to hold things in the body and slow that kinetics, that processing of the drugs out of the body. And your bitter herbs will speed up the processing of things. I'm going to say 80% of the time that will work for you. Think about it like Swedish bitters, digestive bitters. What do? They stimulate your digestive juices in order to better and faster digest your food. All bitter things do that. It doesn't matter what the bitter herb is, it will do that. On these narrow therapeutic margin herbs, I 100% practice don't use bitter and sour. And I'm going to jump down. I'll come back to immunosuppressants, I promise. Chemotherapy is one of the, I won't call it the scariest. And there are chemotherapies that we use for autoimmune disorders. Not that scary, honestly. But chemotherapy with cancer, really freaking scary, right? Really hard to work with. I do not use bitter and sour herbs with chemotherapy. I don't want to tell you how many people I've met that they go through, for better or worse, the last 5 or 10 years, I've been specializing in cancer care. I have so many people come to me when they're done with chemo, radiation, surgery, when I wish they'd come to me in the front end. And they come in and are like, well, I just wanted a second opinion. I coasted through my chemotherapy with no side effects. And I didn't tell the doctor, but I juiced and cleansed all through that. And they're like, I didn't have a single side effect. Didn't lose my hair, didn't get fatigued, blood bag. Guess what? They did a good job of cleansing that chemotherapy out of their body, which means they got none of the benefits of the chemotherapy. And I'm going to say most of the time that cancer comes back within 3 or 4 years. And so please, 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 please don't juice. Don't do bitter, sour things while you're going through chemo. And I will say, and for 2 months after your last round of chemotherapy. That is after that, we can do all kinds of crazy stuff. We'll clean up the mess afterwards. No big deal. We'll get super fancy. There are plenty of herbs that we can do to support people through chemotherapy. I always give, the doctors don't know a lot about it, but I'm like, let me print out all the stuff and show it to you. I primarily use mushrooms during chemotherapy. Those are, if a button mushroom's safe, probably all the mushrooms are safe. And they're usually, I don't know about y'all, but most mushrooms, although they taste good, are pretty bland, right? Button mushroom tastes like dirt. It's not bitter, it's not sour. I like them. Not everybody does. It's all the other yummy stuff we put with it that makes it taste good. So please, like, I, if you're dealing with any of these and you want to use, go see an herbalist. Protease inhibitors, the immunosuppressants, this is probably the hardest one to work with. So immunosuppressants, in particular organ transplants. Somebody gets a new kidney, somebody gets a new liver, whatever. They have to intentionally suppress their immune system so their body doesn't attack it and reject the organ. It is one of the scariest, most difficult things I've ever worked with. And I won't say I've seen a ton because they know that it's really dangerous to use a lot of the herbs and supplements, in particular because you're intentionally destroying your immune system, necessary. And so many of our herbs are really good for you. They normalize your immune system. They stimulate your immune system. There are different aspects of it, of how it improves the function of your immune system. And we don't want that. And so we have to be super careful with it. And I'll get ahead of myself on one of the slides. In alternative health, our language is very imprecise. It boosts your immune system. What does that mean? Like, is there just our immune system is white blood cells, if you're lymphatic, it's leukocytes, there's like 1,000 aspects of the immune system. What do we mean boost our immune system? Is it like I'm going to explode in white blood cell counts and like then pus will come out of my ears or something? I don't know. And so the problem, both in alternative, like well, Chinese, Western, we might say regulates the immune system. We might say stimulates. But it's still not very. It's not telling us what it's doing. And so, because in the case of organ transplant, where you'll die if you reject that organ, or you might not be able to get another organ in time, we don't want to screw that up. I would tell you, because I like telling stories, and I don't have enough time to tell all of them. I had a guy who came to me. He had a kidney transplant like 15 plus years earlier, and he was perfect. He did absolutely everything right, like right weight, right. He was measuring out his proteins and his sugars and carbohydrates and exercise and water, like everything they told him, and plus his own research on top of that. He was like the poster child of the perfect patient. But in the case of a kidney, it's gonna fail. Your body will reject it at some point, and 15, 20 years is about the best. And so his numbers started to decline, where the body was like starting to reject it, and he knew he was on the transplant list. I think he was already on it. And I think I saw him in like the early fall, September, October, and he was like, I don't want to ruin the holidays. They're telling me I'm going to need it November, December. Can you get me through to January or February? And I was like, I have no idea, because the herbs that I would use to improve the kidney function are going to do something good for the immune system that would be bad for this dude. And so with informed consent, I was like, I think I gave him reishi and cordyceps. I mean, something else, I don't remember. Those are specific for kidney function. I was like, these are contraindicated with your medication because they will stimulate your immune system, but they also improve your kidney function. I have no idea how he made it until I think it was February or March.
Wow.
So that was a scary herb drug interaction. It was contraindicated for the medication he was taking, but we had a great outcome. And so there's a time and a place that we tell our client or our patient exactly what we know and don't know, because there's zero research on that. There's not even test tube study that tells us that. But we have to be able to work our way through all of that stuff. So tough. That was one that I was ecstatic at the outcome. I was terrified doing, and that was a long time ago. So I have a few positive ones like that. Chemo, we beat up on that. It's funny, seizure medications, that's probably my least favorite med to work with. And again, how it's processed through the body and so forth. But seizures generally don't kill you, but you lose your license, and it would suck to lose your license. Obviously, if you're driving your car while you lose your license, or when you get a seizure, then you might die. And like I've actually had that happen to a student or graduate of ours. And we don't always understand what the triggers are for seizures. So honestly, I will generically say if somebody's effectively taking seizure medications, don't screw with them. Like literally work on their diet and lifestyle, work with exercise. But I am more cautious with seizure medications than I am anything else. And there's plenty of herbs that are safe. We see cannabis. No, I'm going to apologize. Facebook and YouTube has started to censor us. And there are a number of words that if I say them out loud for the recording, we will get naughty grams and knocked off of there, and they will make us take down the recording. So I am not going to say that multi-leaf substance that's in a lot of shops around here. And we have a bill that allows us to get prescriptions for it that in the past has been legal on a federal level. Sorry. I'm horrified, like, because I'm using, I'll tell you whatever the hell I think is right, but I'm just like, I mean, I have a number of naughty grams from both organizations. So be very cautious with seizure meds, please. In particular, like never is there a good reason for bitter or sour.
Can I say something on that real quick?
Yeah, as long as you don't say that naughty word.
No. So my mom has grand malls.
Yeah.
And she's been on seizure medication since she was like 13. And she tends to get like a bad bronchitis and that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
one year where she was given a couple different medications, and one of them was like for bronchitis specific, and then she ended up with the flu, and then I think she had Tamiflu. And one or the other of those stopped her seizure medication from working, and she started having grand mal again.
That's horrid.
And so as it was happening, like just intuitively, I'm like, it's the medication she's on. It's the medication she's on. The doctors didn't believe us. We went to the ER. I'm telling the ER doctors, I'm like, it's the medication. It's the only big variable. That's the only thing. They didn't believe me. They were like, that doesn't.
And that goes back to that slide earlier, like
Mhm.
drug interactions. We don't really know, and we start to see those multiple medications. We don't always understand how those suckers work.
Well, I called my cousin who's a nuclear pharmacist, and she goes, oh yeah, that's totally contraindicated. And I don't know why the ER doctors don't know this.
Hey.
And I'm like,
And I don't know that I have a slide on there. One of the most common things for us to tell her when somebody comes in with the pile of prescription meds, please utilize your pharmacist.
mhm.
Pharmacists are really smart people who are so underutilized. It's actually kind of a shame. They're literally PhD, like all of them, like MDs or master's degrees. They're PhDs. They're smarties. And I have too many fun pharmacy student stories, but the reality, you can schedule an appointment with them and bring in all your stuff and even your medical records, and they'll do a medication review, and they'll go like, this is a little concerning, and ask you, and they'll have a conversation with your doctor, or you can have a conversation with your doctor, because that's all. And so often they're stuck counting pills, which is a sad statement. You know, it's like that's such an underutilization of their skill. They're all way too stressed out. They go into pharmacy because they want to help people, and they're not being used for that. So please, like, find the slowest day, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't know. And they'll literally happily meet with you. You know, when you go and get your prescription, they're like, would you like to talk to the pharmacist? And almost everybody says no. And honestly, in that 2-minute interaction, they can't really go. So you need that dedicated 15 minutes that they'll schedule for you to do a quick check on the computer. They got cool stuff like that. St. John's wort, it's so funny. I feel so bad about St. John's wort because it's a really good herb. It sucks for depression, by the way. It's got so many good functions, and there's a very narrow subset of a type of depression that it's good for. But it's like everybody takes it like, oh, it's good for all the depression. Like, good luck with that. It is one of the better researched herbs to include human studies and comparisons with some of the SSRIs, the antidepressants. And it has more adverse reactions associated with it that are well researched than probably any other herb out there. It will potentially, I hate that word, it will potentially interact with 45% of all prescription medications, to include birth control. Like, really important. Like, we wouldn't think about that scary. I literally, one of my students, she was super type A and like on it, like really good with her birth control, and she not planning on having any more children. And life was difficult. She was getting ready to start acupuncture school and blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, I heard St. John's wort's good, so I'm going to just take that because I'm feeling a little under the weather and a little stressed out. So she started popping St. John's wort. She's got twins. She has a tattoo of St. John's wort on her arm for her twins.
Wow.
Like, has never had and it's like there's not a million St. John's wort babies that we know of out there. But there's enough concerns that like, don't take that with that. For any of you who are super, and it's funny, me. For anybody who's really into pharmacology, we talk about the CYP 450, blah, 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 blah. And it's funny, I had a bunch of pharmacy students. They were really nice. They just graduated. They texted me or sent me a message and they're like, hey, can we come to that herb drug interaction class? We really want to see what you're saying. I was like, I'm not that smart. And I literally went, I was like, please, I will be ecstatic to have you come here, but just know, so you know, I'm not going to be talking about some CYP 450 stuff. And they're like, we don't understand it either. So I felt good about that. It was really funny. I was like, I've used this word. I toss it around. It's basically how it processes the specialized receptor sites in your liver. It's really cool. I was like, I don't actually know what it means. And so I Googled it. And I still don't understand it, but that's how if you're really into that, there you go. The most important thing, it will be competing in the same part of your body at the same time. If you pop some St. John's wort with whatever, your blood pressure med or something, it's going to be like, who's going to make it through the liver first? And that may change the way it's processed through the body. And that can be concerning. Here's where it gets interesting. There's also research that says it makes a lot of stuff work better. So like there's a couple studies out of Japan that said it actually helped with chemo, even though every single chemotherapy drug will tell you it's contraindicated. I will tell you, I love St. John's wort. I think it's a great herb. I regularly use it internally for people as long as they're on 0 prescription meds, to include over the counter. Like if you're popping Tylenol, I'm not going to give you St. John's wort. I don't know what it'll do. And I'd rather be safe than sorry. If you're not on any meds, and it matches your pattern, it's a very safe herb. It's not like, oh, it's a big scary thing. It's only scary because it may change that medication. Yeah. Thank you for that. Boy, here's your $5. No. I'll let you into the class for free for that. So topically, it's 100% safe. And so it is also, so it's specific for nerve stuff, physical nerve stuff. And I would say whether it's neuropathy, chemotherapy related neuropathy, it is my go-to for neuropathy in the hands or feet. And you can put it on twice a day, 100%. And it's so funny. I think this just happened today. I think I said it. We help at a free clinic, acupuncture free clinic. I usually use an oil topically. And I was like, why am I not doing a liniment topically of it? It would probably work even better. I was just like, I have no idea. I totally should be using the alcohol extraction, the liniment topically for St. John's wort for neuropathy. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. So cool. So yes, it is a good one. So now it's going to get fun. Heck yeah, I want schedule. So yay, we said antibiotics. We can do this positive herb drug interaction. So here's the middle ground. And I love the first example is a fun one. These aren't narrow therapeutic margins. Obviously, high blood sugar is bad, right? Guess what? Low blood sugar is bad too. You die from either one. So most of our side effects for, like we've all seen those TV commercials where like death, dismemberment, blood out of every orifice, all the fun things they're required by law to list all of those. I'm not required by law to list those for herbs, which is an interesting struggle because there's herbs out there that will cause all of those same things. Most of those side effects don't happen. They only happen at the highest dosage of that prescription medicine. And, ask guys who are on blood pressure meds, impotence is a common side effect for blood pressure meds. But not if you're a really low dose, it won't happen. You start getting them on 2 prescription meds for blood pressure and you're maxing out on the dosage, their junk's not working anymore. Like guaranteed, it won't work. So that's the big scary side effect for that. And so we only see these scary side effects when we're up in the dosage. So if you give the herbs for diabetes, and there are many that help, while you're on a diabetic medication and you're not monitoring your blood sugar and it goes too low, bad things will happen. But if, let's say you're using insulin, using less insulin because you're monitoring it means you'll get less side effects. Your medications will work better when they're combined with the med. So with these, it can be a good or bad depending on how you use them. So these general categories, ideally, you're working with a doctor. And for those of you who are here for your own health and well-being, if your doctor's not willing to help you, get a new doctor. If I hire a plumber and they won't do what I'm saying, I'm going to fire them and hire another plumber. Doctors and herbalists and acupuncture, we're just plumbers, right? I mean, we're here. You come and you say, my back hurts. And if I start treating your toe pain, you're going to not come back. So literally, if you say, I want to use herbs so that I get less side effects, will you monitor my blood work and adjust the dosages as I see improvements? And they go, no, you have to stay on that for the rest of your life. You need to go get a new doctor. I have so many people who have, forget the herbs, they were out of shape, overweight, not exercising, stressed out, and eat nothing but drive-through. They ended up on blood pressure and blood sugar medications. They spent the next year changing their lifestyle, lost 100 pounds, making their own food, and they can't figure out why they're fatigued and passing out. It's because their doctor never checked their meds again and never adjusted them. Mm-hmm. That's a bad doctor. Mm-hmm. And so if we're using, if we as a sentient being choose to use herbs, that doctor should be working with us. So literally, there's a lot of doctors out there. I think we should make some of them rich and some of them should retire. And so we get to choose that. We have our dollar, we get to invest in however we want. So with all of these categories, and we'll go through them real fast, we want to constantly be monitoring whatever that symptoms is. I will generically say the most common side effects that we see, not life-threatening, but common, when you take an herb and a drug for the same thing. So, and literally people come in here so often, it's not even funny. They'll literally say, what do you got for cancer? I was like, an appointment. Because that's horrifying. Like they're literally doing chemotherapy and radiation or whatever. And they're just like, well, I Googled it, so I'm going to go grab some stuff. That's dangerous. I'd be like, I got blood sugar. Are they on metformin? Are they on a GLP? Are they on insulin? Is it a fast acting, a slow acting? If we don't know that, and they just start taking some Cerecis, some bitter melon, they're screwed. Literally, they're going to be passed out on the floor. So we have to really think about it. And the health food stores are making a fortune on that. What do you got for disease? That's literally what it is. And nobody's asking those questions. So it's so important we're careful when we take an herb and a drug for the same reason. Forget everything else I said, just learn this page. I will get this stupid thing out of the way. This is how I practice. There we go. So start with quality control. We didn't beat that to death, but just know who's making your herb, make sure they're safe. That's a pretty easy thing. Obviously, I'm a fan of people going to see, learn stuff, educate yourself. It doesn't have to be my program or anything like that. There's online programs, learn sciencey words, come from a system of understanding, whether that's Chinese, Ayurvedic, Western, medical, I don't care. They're all good. Come from a system that you're not just saying it's good for. That's not a good way to do it. That's putting your faith in electrons rather than history and a tradition behind it. And there are so many good traditions out there. Know your herbs. Like you're like, no, I'm a Google master. I am going to figure out what supplements and herbs. And problem is, you can do a lot with Google, now AI. They don't always tell you if it's toxic. And so you need to make sure you know everything there is to know. And that includes botany. Like, who knows what's a nightshade and whether you're sensitive to a nightshade, what things have high amounts of pyrolytic alkaloids in them or aristolochic alkaloids in there. Maybe you have a sensitivity to salicylates that you need to know what herbs have salicylates in them. Like, they're not huge concerns, but they're concerns. Like, I won't pick on you. Allergies to garlic and onions. What foods and herbs contain those? Like that's super hard. And for those of you who are like, what's a nightshade? Google it later. But more because it's tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, peppers, paprika, ashwagandha, goji berries. Really good for you stuff. For probably 5% of you who are listening to this, that causes inflammation and pain for you. And you don't know where it's hiding in your foods. Yeah. Well, I thought that was a question. Yeah. So really educating yourself with it. That's why we have herbalists. There's lots in the community. Yay, I like us here. So if you're going through, like, assume your doctor has the right diagnosis. Don't assume they do. Well, the blood work doesn't say it, but I'm going to diagnose you with rheumatoid arthritis anyway. Screw that. I want a confirmation of my diagnosis. And if you're going to see some crazy herbalist or acupuncturist, make sure that they're sure that their diagnosis of chi stagnation, blood stagnation, deficiency, whatever, make sure that's correct as well. Yeah.
Say different parts of the plant as well. It's a nice.
Yes, and different parts of plants.
I know
some are worse than others.
Yeah, the ashwagandha, the root. I just learned it right. And sometimes you can use the leaves.
I would say never the leaf, even though it's common now, but the root has the chemical in there, and you have a lot of herbalists who tell you, no, I have so many examples where the root.
I mean, I don't have a nightshade.
Good.
About 6 months ago, I
Yeah. So that's why I said that for everybody, because like most people don't know it. Yeah. So always ensuring you got the proper diagnosis. People have fatigue, and like, has anybody checked your B12 levels or your full iron panel to see how anemic you are? I literally in free clinic this morning, I think there's 3 people. I was like, please ask your doctor for B12 and a full iron panel, because they clearly were anemic from every symptom and sign conceivable. And so too often nobody's asking harder questions to get a more precise diagnosis as I go through this process. So yeah, we said don't do the same thing, don't do a drug and herb for the same thing. There is no single right dosage. So making sure that the dosage is correct. Some people, like the Chinese, we love high dosing. We do stupid high dosing. Western herbalists, really small dosing. Both work. Homeopathy works, which is imaginary dosing.
Same dosing.
It kind of is vibrational, and it's like kind of cool, and it still works. It works on animals. That's nuts. And so like, let's make sure we're adjusting based on you. And I always say it's way easier to titrate up. Like, let's start on a really low dose and slowly go up versus, I think you need this massive dose while you're on these 6 prescription medications and we watch you pass out on the floor. That's way harder to recover from. So slowly coming up with your dosage, watching for potential interactions and side effects goes a long way. For women, this one's for the practitioners in particular. I don't care if you've been seeing somebody for 10 years. If they are still of a reproductive age and they are not using some sort of physical or chemical birth control, you should always ask if there's any chance of pregnancy. Like that should just be like, is it Tuesday? Are you pregnant? And so if somebody's not active, it's so funny. I get this one a lot. I'm not trying. I'm going to take that pulse a little bit harder. And when did you have your cycle last? Because there's certain herbs that are safe with pregnancy and there's some that are very not safe with pregnancy. So making that a part of your regular conversation as age, weight, and more knowledge change, we should be changing, adjusting our dosing. And well, I can't read the last one. Ideally separate your herbs and drugs as far as possible. 4 hours is kind of the magic number. Most things are mostly processed through the body within 4 hours. Some longer, like there's things like chemotherapy. I like 3 days if I'm going to use a stronger herb, but you do the best you can. There's people who are like, the thing I always say you don't want to do is, here's my 8 prescription meds, here's my 15 supplements and 6 herbs, and we're putting them all in our belly at the same time. Nobody knows what that does. There's no way to conceivably guess. Something's interacting with something. So the more we can separate those things, the less likely they are to interact. If most of your medications are before a meal, your supplements after a meal. that's a pretty good separation, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. Do your best to separate them as best you can.
Doesn't matter if you take, for example, you made a tea with your, like for David, and then you take your supplement with that tea, that's.
The supplements are less concerning. It's the medications with those things we want to keep. And as far as like 4 hours is hard. Honestly, you're taking a drug 3 times a day, and you're taking an herb 3 times a day. We might get 2 hours on if you're lucky, and that's fine. That's good enough. I don't actually remember what the last one is, but the 4 hours is the best thing. I'm pretty sure that says like titrate up slowly, and watch for side effects. Constantly evaluate, like, how is this doing? Is my blood pressure still normal? Is my blood sugar still normal? And so forth. I will put 2 cautions on here. I'm great on time. Activated charcoal, great supplement. You can buy that in the store or whatever. I do not want to tell you all how many times I've seen people who are taking prescription meds, a couple of supplements, and activated charcoal is a part of that. Activated charcoal is used for poisoning. If you like overdose, you go to the hospital, they're going to shoot you full of your belly full of this. Great. And it's literally it's fancy charcoal, but it's fancy burnt wood. And it's a really effective. It will absorb everything. Your supplements, your prescription medications, and poison. So there are a lot of protocols for chronic Lyme disease and things like that that use activated charcoal. The idea is you take really strong herbs that kill stuff, and as the Lyme and Lyme co-infection dies, we minimize those side effects by taking the activated charcoal. Kind of works sometimes. But if you're A, taking it daily, B, taking it with anything that you want to actually be utilized in your body, drugs, supplements, whatever, you're just pissing your money away. Nothing bad will happen unless that drug is vital for your survival. So everybody should have some activated charcoal in their medicine cabinet, and it should not come out very often. It's a good thing.
I'm glad you said that, not come out, because even if you take it away from your supplements, I know people that take it every day in lemon water, and I'm like, you're mineral deficient. You should stop doing that.
It's destroying everything.
Yeah.
The other one is aloe. Aloe is a great herb. It's used by a lot of people for a lot of things, acid reflux, all that kind of stuff. And I always use this example. If I get sunburn, what am I going to do? I'm going to put some aloe on my skin, right? Really good. It makes this nice, dry, kind of crispy protective barrier on my skin. And it kind of protects me from everything. It kind of cools things off too. So guess what it does inside your gastrointestinal tract? This nice protective barrier. And so it won't reduce the absorption of all your stuff, but it will reduce the absorption of a lot of your stuff, drugs and supplements. So nothing wrong with aloe. Keep it away from everything else.
Really,
I don't use aloe with leaky gut. I'll just say that. There's people who do. It's protective. It helps with side effects. But just like I don't put it on my skin every day, I'm smart enough not to burn myself every day. I wait once a month. I burn myself now. So I think it's fine to use it occasionally. For people who are struggling with acid reflux, which sometimes comes with leaky gut kind of ideas, it's good, but I don't find it repairing. So I feel like use it to reduce symptoms while you fix stuff. I think that's usually where it has its best success. This is me saying the same damn thing, shorter and easier. So, all right, we're going to actually make it through a couple of these. So we kind of had this slide earlier, but really I'm going to go through them this time. High blood pressure, from whether we're using Chinese or Western, there's a lot of different approaches. And I'll give you a really good example. Like that top formula is called Chinese formula. It's one of the more common ones we use for hypertension. Hawthorn from the Western herbalists, LInde, my namesake, magnesium, all things I really like for high blood pressure. It was really funny. When I went to acupuncture school, I was running my own business at the time. And so I was working more than full-time doing that, going to school full-time. And I went from, I go jogging every day and I eat pretty healthy to, holy crap, this is a lot of work. So I got really stressed out. just started eating this really good Middle Eastern place, and oh, the gyros were so good, and stopped exercising. Generally bad outcomes when you do that. And when we learned how to do blood pressure, I was like, I was the guinea pig. There was only two dudes in the class, so we were the ones who were like jumped on the table for people to torture us. And so I stuck my arm out like, and they're like, Bob, what the heck, man? 140 over 90, you're like hypertensive. I was like, no, try the other arm. It was like, no, no. And I was like, crap. So I was cold and deficient, even though I had high blood pressure. And none of the herbs, supplements, or formulas that are classically used for high blood pressure, they all made me sicker. And I did start walking, and I got rid of my job, and blah, blah, blah. So when I went to school over 25 years ago, reishi mushroom was not in the herb book. It was one of the imperial herbs that was a secret, and so they didn't put it in there. And I found that one, and I was just like, miraculous. So it's not like, oh, I've got high blood pressure, I'll take all or some of these. It's matching the herb to the person, and the pattern is really important. There's so many different reasons why people get hypertension, high blood pressure. In my case, it was crap eating and stress. And so I fixed that. Yay. My blood pressure's good now. Don't worry. Diabetes. With this, it's funny. The GLPs are taking over in the treatment. And admittedly, I haven't updated this with this. GLP is such a new thing. And there's good and bad that's coming from the GLPs. It is definitely screwing up a lot of digestive stuff. But there's still a few folks who are still taking metformin, some of the other Jardiance, the insulin, fast and slow acting things. And so these all have a role. Magnesium, and I'll use that as the Xiaokuan Chinese formula that basically says diabetes formula. Magnesium kind of had this multifunctional aspect. And remember, there's magnesium oxide, magnesium citrate, glycinate, malate, and there's a couple new ones. I don't even know what the hell they are. And they all function a little bit differently as you go through. And so, I don't know, I went to the pharmacy and I was like, give us some magnesium. You don't know why or what. And they're not going to ask you. They're just going to sell you the one that's on there, which is usually magnesium oxide will make you poop yourself. But the reality is magnesium will move your poop, lower blood pressure, lower blood sugar, help with bone density, but you got to get the right one. It helps with some other stuff too. Like Google that later. There's a list this long of what magnesium is good for. Bitter melon is a weed that grows out here. It's just popping up now. It is probably my Suraceae in the islands, bitter melon, balsam apple, a bunch of different names for it. It is my favorite thing to use for blood sugar issues. It happens to be named correctly. It tastes like crap. The Chinese use the fruit. In the islands, we use the leaf. And so choosing the right part is also important based on the tradition. But then I'm going to say the bottom one is actually an Ayurvedic herb called gumar, the destroyer of sugar. I just bought seeds. I'm hoping we're able to grow it. Right now I have to Amita is like, it's like, you have to make these work. And I got like 10 herbs. It's like the magic beans and the Jack and the Bean stuff. Yes.
Since we're dealing with blood sugar on this, I'm assuming that these herbs would also work with diabetes 1 and 2.
Good question. So diabetes 1, yes, it will affect it, but diabetes 1 is the one you're not born with, but you get diabetes 1, type 1 diabetes is not from your behavior. It's shit happens. It's usually autoimmune or something else. It will work, but I've read about people getting off of their insulin because you are automatically on insulin with type 1 diabetes. This is best for type 2, which is the most common and the one that's most affected by diet and exercise. And so here's the tough part. Sugar tastes good. Like, that's not a lie, right? And so there is a pleasure aspect of eating all the yummy stuff that none of us should be eating, right? And so Genema sylvestre does have an effect, and this one might be helpful for type 1. It does have a benefit on the pancreas. I always have to say islets of Langerhans. You always have to say it that way. That's the specialized say. You have to be Scottish to say Langerhans. But those are the specialized cells within the pancreas, the beta cells. And there's some research to show that Genema sylvestri actually helps to regenerate them, which, and now we're just starting to see some really good research on stem cells regrowing that there may be in the next 10 years a cure for type 1 diabetes, which is amazing. I actually met one of 7 people who had a pancreas transplant.
Ooh.
And she's the only one who lived. It's nuts. I was like, that's so cool. I had to Google it. So Genema sylvestri, sorry, I digress. Makes sugar taste bad. Because isn't that the thing that makes all of us really like it? Right? It tastes so good. Forget the energy and all that. Yeah. I would say, because there isn't a drug for that per se, pre-diabetes, obviously, diet, exercise, all that bullshit. But yeah, all of these would be effective, but like, what's the right one for you is the most important. Like, come see one of us. Because it is, like, these are all great. The Genema sylvestri, it's funny. It should be made as a tea. It's gentle. It's not going to put your blood sugar through the floor and make you pass out. But wouldn't it be sneaky for me to give somebody an herbal tea and just like, here, drink this every day before your meals? And all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to eat anymore because all my yummy carbohydrates taste like crap. So I always ask permission. I always like, here's your herb for me to help with your diabetes, your pre-diabetes, all of that. I was like, and stop eating so much crap. And I know I eat vaguely healthy, like my breakfast, vaguely healthy, lunch, pretty good, dinner even like usually all right, nothing to write home about. But I work really late, 3 nights a week. I'm here for student clinic. And I get home about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Nothing good goes in my mouth after 10 o'clock. I make nothing but bad decisions. If it's in my house, I'm eating total crap. I don't get chips, man, you name it. So when do I need to drink my tea? Not for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I need to have it before I leave the clinic. And because then when I get home, it just doesn't taste right. I make sure you don't sneak that in on people. Make sure that you're literally like, hey, when you're ready to actually give this crap up, that's when you start giving that. And they're like, fine, I'm not doing it on my own. Give me my damn tea. And it should be as a tea. It doesn't work as a tincture. It doesn't work as a pill. Not very well. And I really hoping I'm able to grow this in the not too distant future, because that's going to be some strong medicine. It's going to be really good stuff because I've never seen it fresh, actually. Pain. So the cat atoms that are at the top, we have many of those bars here. They also serve things like Piper methysticum. Sorry, this is botany class, right? Literally, if I say that word out loud, this will be banned. So I spelt it funny. There are no feline atoms that are used for consumption.
Hopefully.
It is a tree from Southeast Asia that is used for focus and pain and energy. That is actually banned in Sarasota County and 2 states, I think. I'm actually a supporter of it when it's used properly and used as a whole plant, not when it is isolated compounds. And it is deadly. Literally, the stuff you get from gas stations will kill you, cause you to be highly addicted, and get high as a kite, which is not what it's supposed to do. So I would say that of every plant. In case you didn't know it, cocaine is bad for you. But if you go to Peru, you buy tea bags of coca leaves that are literally in the grocery store and help you with altitude sickness, energy, and focus. It's really a wonderful plant. Same as, poppy seed muffins literally will make you show up hot on a piss test. And my mother, when I was elementary school, I remember, kids are punks. They go through everything. There are no secrets if you have children. They know everything about you. I remember opening it, it was like, what's this? It was a tincture that her doctor gave her, like prescribed, tincture of opium. Like for real. It was probably early or late 60s, early 70s she got it. She had chronic diarrhea for a while. It stops. They didn't have Imodium yet.
No.
So they used a tincture, opium tincture. And when we start to isolate those compounds, I hear that's bad for you. And for anybody, if your family members, friends, whatever, that struggle in recovery from opiates, Imodium will potentially trigger relapses. And so, when you pull out that microscopic information sheet that nobody has ever read, it will actually say it on there. So it works on the opioid receptor sites. And you'll find a lot of folks on the street, they'll go in and if they can't get their fix for whatever reason, they'll go in and steal or buy all of the Imodium so they don't go into withdrawal. But I've also seen it trigger people to relapse on their opioids. So because like that plant and all of its alkaloids, synthetic or not, causes constipation. That's one of the big issues for people who struggle with addiction. And so when they stop, their poop goes crazy. Like they work really hard to get their poop moving again, but then they can't stop. So they're like, run to the bathroom. And so it's normal. Why wouldn't you go and get some Imodium? Like that would be what all of us do. It's over the counter, no big deal. Bad things happen sometimes. So knowing where that stuff comes from. There's so many herbs that are used for pain that are more effective, that they make pain go away, not just an analgesic, right? You take an ibuprofen, pain will probably come back in 4 hours, right? And so that's fine, whatever. I always have to say, because I think most people know, but not everybody knows, if you're taking Tylenol, please don't drink alcohol. I mean, not even a beer. I tell people don't take a Tylenol with a tincture. Like it's the number of people in liver failure because they didn't know they couldn't wash their Tylenol down with a beer, like for real. So like, and I occasionally, I'm like, I'm sure you know this, but please don't. And they're like, most people do, but not everybody does. So the things I have listed here aren't fixing anything, they're masking it. And like we talked about, St. John's wort was good for nerve pain. Kava is better for muscle pain. I won't say the top one, just generic pain. Magnesium is also good for muscle pain, constipation pain. The list is endless of how do we get herbs to go to an area? How do we help resolve it? Like some pain is affected by weather. There's specific herbs for that. If you really want to know freaky, there's herbs that are used for dream pain. Where like, this is a David Winston thing. If you got bit by a rattlesnake in a dream, you're literally going to end up with arthritis there later on if you don't use dream snake venom antidote. Like Kohash. Yeah. I am dead. I'm dead serious. Yeah. Ask the Aborigines in Australia, which one's the real one? This one or the dream world? They live in the dream world. That's the real world. This one is hell. No.
Winston, your man crush.
Yeah.
He said,
no, that's what I,
he
I know.
said that if you don't treat it,
You'll have
in the
arthritis.
dream, you'll have,
no,
for
you
real,
can
for
take it
real.
in the daytime, but or you can treat it
Wild shit.
like for real. No, I don't know. That crap shows up later. Steroids, I'm generically going to say like it's very challenging, but for folks who are on long-term steroid use for autoimmune disorders and things like that, you're going to be like, oh, be careful with it. If you're like, oh, I got poison ivy, you took some prednisone for a week or two, nobody cares. It's fine. No big deal. Seriously. But if you're going through round after round, and every time you come down to that last dose of steroids, all of a sudden you get another flare up of your autoimmune disorder, and it really can be a nightmare for folks. Licorice will help extend the life of the steroid, the prednisone, so that it has a slower taper. Because remember, we didn't go into all the painful detail. So when we talk about how a drug is processed out of the body, we talk about the half-life. So how long does it take for the drug from the time you take it for half that amount of that drug to be in your body? And that's usually when we start to see it removed out of your body. We don't see its effects anymore. So we can extend the half-life by using licorice. You have to be careful with licorice because too much licorice, also long-term high-dose licorice can spike your blood pressure as well, change the potassium levels in your body. So I use this sneaky little thing. I use this cool Chinese formula called Xiao Gansao Tong, which is peony and licorice. And I use that on like the last 3 days of that. So it's a cool way. So if you're one of those people on that nightmare roller coaster, please come in. Sarsaparilla is the common name. There's actually 3 different plants called sarsaparilla. So when I refer to it, Smilax or Medica is the best. It's good for chronic inflammatory skin diseases, which people oftentimes do both topical and internal steroids for. And so that herb literally grows wild everywhere out here. And so it's free.
So for that, really have to cook it or
Ideally, yeah, because the root's the best part. So boiling it up, cooking it, decocting it. The Xiaoyao Gansatang, no, I just give it to people as a pill.
the pill?
Yeah. I mean, cool if you want to do it the hard way, but it's not necessary. Diuretics, things that make you pee a lot. It's funny, if your ankles are swelling up and you're filling up full of fluid, you need a diuretic. There's some serious medical imbalances, organ dysfunctions, and so forth that are going on. And so there's lots of herbs that can help making sure that we understand the why. If it's just like, I shouldn't have had that Chinese food last night, then don't. I literally it was a Chinese woman who went out Chinese food. She's like, why are my ankles swelled up? I was like, what did you have for dinner last night? She was like, it's a Chinese restaurant. She's like, have you ever eaten there before? She's like, yeah. Like, how much did you eat? She's like, all of it. And I was like, that's fun. There's so much sodium in there. It's like, if I love Chinese food. If I go to, and I don't have an off switch on my belly. And so I will eat all the yummy stuff and I will literally have swollen fingers the next day. Like it's still makes me do it. It's good. But there's more chronic issues when we start to look at kidney function, your real kidney and so forth, can be a common cause for that swelling up the ankles, blood pressure starts to go up, congestive heart failure, things like that. So actually the woman who came to me with swollen ankles, I was like, do you eat corn? Because it's in season right now, right? Like go to the grocery store, you go see, it's almost the 4th of July. So it starts to harvest it. The hairs on there, when you peel it in, you got, throw that in the compost pile. That is actually really good herb medicine as a diuretic. It's a very gentle diuretic. It's soothing, cooling, and increases urination. So we can use that. You can use it fresh or dried, doesn't matter. Literally nothing special. Pull it off the corn, make tea. If you're like, oh my God, I get UTIs every other couple of weeks or something, you can take all the hairs off the corn, put them in a blender with some water, and freeze them in an ice cube tray. Does anybody still have ice cube trays other than me? All right, good job. Oh, yeah, there you go. But literally, then that's a single dosage, every one of those. And it tastes good. It tastes like corn. Yeah, you can give it to children, no big deal. My other favorite one is celery. So celery tastes really minerally because it's a potassium-sparing diuretic. It's a mineral-sparing diuretic. When we take diuretics, the water pills, they make you pee and you're getting the water out that's trying to kill you, but it's also taking a lot of your minerals out and causes some problems long-term. So literally, there's a lot of times when somebody's like, they're on a low-dose diuretic water pill, and they're starting to get a little ankle swelling. I'm like, you're probably going to need another one or twice a day, or maybe the next dosage up. Go back to the doctor. Let's make sure the kidneys are functioning right. And I'm like, I can usually delay them going on to another diuretic by just saying eat 3 stalks of celery a day. It is enough of a diuretic to just a little bit of extra benefit. And so that's a nice simple way to do it. David Winston's kidney support formula. I don't usually pimp out brands like that, but yeah, right. That's actually more for kidney failure. I use it for other things, but he and I have both been able to keep people off of dialysis on occasion by just using that. The unique herb that's in there is stinging nettle seed. There's only a few places you can get it. So the rest of the stinging nettle doesn't do it. Only the seed. Yeah, we do have it here. Sorry. Yay.
I bought it for you.
No, there you go. But I love his formula. It's kind of a mix of Western Chinese and Cherokee medicine. That's kind of cool. Yeah, we said all that. But I'm not just that bottom thing, coordinating with your MD and your pharmacist. I'm not just doing that to cover my ass. Like for real, they're good people. Most people go into medicine because that's some hard work. They'd make more money as a lawyer probably. They're going in there because they want to help people. The system kind of screws that up. And so utilizing them and make them do a better job with your health and making sure that they're aligned with what you want as well is so important. It really can make things go really well. Yeah, I'm gonna make it to. I didn't think I was gonna make it this far, honestly. So the other slides, these are the ones that used to take up all of our time. quality control with our herbs is so important. There are so many examples of the wrong herb being harvested, either from using the cool Chinese name, where, like, we don't know, feng ji. You don't know whether it's the guan feng ji or the hun feng ji. One will cause you to lose your kidneys. It will literally, and there was a case of somebody who Googled, okay, I don't think Google is there yet. It was a weight loss clinic in Belgium, and they wanted to put people on really strong diuretics, and they got the wrong feng ji, and then literally it was an Aristolochia that had the AAs in there. And I think one person died and a couple were put on dialysis for life because somebody didn't know the right herb and nobody bothered to tell them. Like they weren't trained in Chinese medicine, they didn't know anything. This is also mutong is a very commonly used herb, but again, wrong one, it's going to cause liver damage or kidney damage. There's also, I love wildcrafting herbs. We go out with, like, there's herbs we pick out and grow in our yard, but I also planted them, or I'm pretty good with my botany. There are people who are wildcrafters. And so when you buy herbs, it can be growing on a farm where I planted this row, I harvested that row. That may or may not be organic. It's cool. We've got things that are organic or not organic, and then we get wildcrafted. Wildcraft is really, it grew in the woods, right? What a great way to do it. People go out and harvest. If you ever harvested your own mushrooms, if you're that good, like, no, those are the best mushrooms, morels, things like that. Absolutely amazing. So who's the wildcrafter? So I literally once a month we have, hey, I just came from so-and-so and I wildcrafted these herbs. You want to buy them? Not a chance in hell. I don't trust any of these suckers. I want to know that my wildcrafter is well trained in botany and has done some level of additional testing to make sure it's the right thing. And what we saw back in the 70s was somebody thought they were picking plantain, Plantago major. It wasn't, it was germander. And it got mixed in with a major company. And so there was a bunch of liver damage that was caused because he was a crappy botanist. And so we still get people saying plantain is dangerous. No, it's not. Plantain is super safe. It's a vegetable and has 1,000 different great medicinal actions. But somebody didn't do their homework. Literally, that's all it was. So nothing wrong with wildcrafting, but you got to know who's picking your stuff. Otherwise, you don't know what's happening. And that's true in Western, Chinese, Ayurvedic, so much wildcrafting that goes on. And it's totally okay. But you got to work with a company because usually it's a wildcrafter takes it to a wholesaler who does testing. And then they sell it to us, and then we sell it to you. And so, like, if I'm going to find this really cheap company and it's like, oh, it's wildcrafted from the wilds of wherever. Yeah. Kava, same thing. I like kava. We have more kava bars here than anywhere other than Southeast Asia. If you've never tried it, tastes like dirt. We only use the below ground parts, only the roots. The aerial parts have cavalactones that over time will cause liver damage. So if I get, here's a kava root, I know exactly what that is. I know it's only this part, right? If I chop it up into little pieces, I probably could tell, grind it into a powder, and it'll test probably close enough to be correct. So back in the 60s and 70s, when more than one herb became popular, one of the great herbs for anxiety was kava. It was one of its muscle spasm, a bunch of other uses, but it was being sold for anxiety. And we saw in Europe that all of a sudden there was, I think it was like 56 different adverse events, and they tried to ban it. They did successfully ban it in a few countries. Canada, it was banned. I think it's still banned in Canada. Germany and a couple of other countries. And the German Herb Society actually was like, this is BS. We've used this for 10,000 years. It's super safe. And what they found was there was some repeats where there's the same thing. There's one death associated with kava. They found a bottle of kava in the back seat of the car, which means that McDonald's is killing us because how many people have died in a car and there's French fries in that car? You know there's some. So finding a bottle in the back seat does not equate to a death associated, but that was the one death that we've seen attributed to kava. There were also a case where somebody was taking 5 times the recommended dosage. When they stopped taking that, their liver enzymes went back to normal, so they were good. There's a few cases where It was the aerial parts because kava is really tall. They were just grinding the whole thing up. Nobody could tell.
Mm.
There was a few companies that were extracting the herbs. It was the super duper strong kava tincture. They're extracting it in acetone and then trying to use better chemistry to remove the acetone and put alcohol or whatever in there. You're not that good at chemistry, and literally people end up with liver failure and liver damage. So that stuff that you take paint off the walls or off your fingernails causes liver cancer, by the way, which you didn't know. We like it when people do fancy chromatography. There's different types. If you ever watched like NCIS and Abby was down in the lab and said, "Oh, look, it's the blue ring octopus that killed them," and there's all these spiky things. That's what that is. It's a way we tell whether the plant is the right plant, but not always possible to do that with everything. Yay, research. I like research. If we're using Brinker's stuff, this is kind of like, we need to know the language of it. I will tell you, I like research. I read a lot of research. There was somebody selling a product I'd never heard about, Alternative Health. It was a supplement. And they were like, this does some miraculous thing, raises the dead. I don't know what it was. And they had a little, you click on the little blue link to see what the research is. And I clicked on it because I don't trust anybody. I clicked on it, and it was a 3-hamster study. And they made this huge leap of faith. Who's heard stevia is a good treatment for Lyme disease? Come on, you know you read that, right?
I've just heard it makes you sterile, apparently.
Oh, I don't know that one either. Test tube study. The only study has been a test tube study, and that was isolated chemicals out of it, not the actual stevia plant. So all these people taking stevia for Lyme disease, good luck with that. So literally, oh wait, no, my favorite one. Cancer can't survive in an alkaline diet. Come on, y'all know you've said that or read it. Who's read the Nobel Peace Prize winner from 1935 or 39? I forget the guy's name. You should read his research. It's online. It's free. It has nothing to do with that. It was about pH outside the cell, like a nanometer outside the cell. And it had more to do with the Budwig diet than it had to do with what you ate or drank. And so it was about the cellular wall having enough fat to function properly. And it had very little to do with cancer. So it was a good way to sell a lot of product, though. So it is important that we understand the most basic things in research and be a freak. Don't believe any of us. Google that crap and find the original research. Oh, I might get to rant a little bit. Oh, sure. What the hell? I'll stay after if you want. So who remembers the echinacea study? Headlines all over the world. Echinacea doesn't work. $1 million study from the National Institute of Health. Guy presented at the Medicines from the Earth. I just came back from there a couple of weeks ago, and that was their keynote. That was their keynote speaker that day. He did a 2-hour presentation, all of it, 500 people, $1 million, and he literally wanted to prove that echinacea did work for colds and flu. And at the end, he goes, "I'm so sorry, but this shows that echinacea doesn't do crap." And if you've ever been to one of those where they have a microphone and people line up and they take their turns asking questions, there were like 100 herbalists lined up back there ready to attack this poor guy. He's a really nice guy, actually. So he made a few minor mistakes, and I tried to find it. I very remember about 15 years ago, and he used 1/3 the recommended dosage of the herb. He used the wrong plant part.
Oh, God.
Because really the root's the only really active. He was putting stems and leaves and flowers and some root in there, and used the German E Commission, which is like the conservative tome out there. Like if the German E from Germany says something's good, it really is. And so he used 1/3 the recommended minimum dosage of that. Every herbalist would tell you you need to use like basically a teaspoon every hour or two to get real results. Taking a little capsule once or twice a day ain't gonna do anything for you. But then the placebo was the trouble. If anyone ever tasted echinacea, it is not a yummy flavor. Echinacea is nasty. And it has this weird buzzy tingle in your mouth if it's done right. And so they used Jägermeister as their placebo. Like for real. That's what he said. Like there was rumors. No, he told us that. I was trying to find it. Nobody would. I went to that research. I think that was last night.
Yeah.
That research. Literally, they never said what the placebo was. And so I was like, no, I remember clearly. He said Jaeger, and we all thought that was funny until we went, wait, Jägermeister has 56 different medicinally active herbs. And there are many different uh, aperitifs, like the little digestives that are really common in Europe. There are things like artichoke. There are all these things that are medicinally active. That was used for the plague in the 1600s, whatever the heck it was. That drink was invented for that. Now I think it causes a plague. No. So literally, that was every headline and everywhere from this study. And after we beat this poor guy up, I felt so bad. He was a really good guy. And he actually issued a retraction on the research a few months later. It was not the headline. And he actually, and we basically, he didn't have an herbalist consulting on the trial. So I was like, no, like, no, get your pharmacists, get your chemists and doctors, but you need at least one herbalist to say, like, that ain't the right dosage. This is the way we would do it. You need one person saying that. And so unfortunately, that doesn't exist yet. So I'm not a big echinacea person. It has many benefits, blood poisoning being the primary one, and snake bite, oddly enough. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I heard this right. The echinacea root is
The best part. Yeah.
what?
The flower's okay.
Okay.
The leaves are useless.
I just bought some yesterday.
Oh, the leaf? Sorry.
Apparently cats like it. My cat doesn't like it, so now I have that.
Enjoy an odd tasting cup of tea then. And it makes good compost. Yeah. It's fluorinated. Yeah. And that really matters. The right plant part, the right, made the right way and used in the right dosing is the difference between torturing yourself with nasty tasting things and actually having a therapeutic effect. It really makes such a difference. I'll also say St. John's wort is effective. If we just look at it, I don't say, oh, it's good for depression. That's the way we all learned it. You did. There was some decent research. So they looked at comparing it to SSRIs. And there was a couple of different SSRIs they compared it to. The reality is, instead of doing St. John's wort, the herb, they would isolate a unique compound in it because that was easier to control. And what they found was the marker compound, hypericin, doesn't do anything. It failed in every study. They also tested it against major depressive disorders, which honestly nothing works. The drugs don't work for it. The herbs don't work particularly good for it. And that's minor to moderate depression. It does okay. When they finally did, there was one study where they compared St. John's wort, the plant, to one of the SSRIs, and it did about the same without the side effects. So in so many ways, it's a great herb. Just remember, not with any medications ever, including birth control. Yeah, I'll spare you the rest of those. I'm also not a fan. Ooh, I left that one on there. It would appear in Consumer Reports. I use that. It's a great thing. Honestly, there's so much yellow journalism against our industry that it's horrifying. And the Chinese herb Langdan Shigantang, they put that as this deadly herb, so bad. It's used so commonly. It's great for so many different things. And they've never actually retracted that. They couldn't justify anything they said about those. So again, a lot of those same things that had ended forever. A couple of years ago, 2022, Congressman's wife died of this deadly mulberry. That is as safe as iceberg lettuce. Vilified across everything. And it took about a week before everybody went, what? And I'll spare you guys can read this later, but basically everybody said that's the stupidest thing we ever heard. There is no justification. They found this little crumpled up piece of leaf in her stomach in the autopsy. She also had like 5 other health issues, a bunch of prescription meds, and we don't really know what killed her. I guarantee you it was not a mulberry leaf. I will eat a mulberry leaf right now. But literally everybody from the herbal industry to the autopsy, all the medical professionals were like, that's stupid. Why was this coroner even releasing somebody's personal information like that? That was unethical at the very least. And to make such bold statements that were not backed up by the facts was absurd. And maybe somebody wants to know why she actually died. So just really bad. I'm not going to read all that to you. You think I was upset about that? I was like, no, it's got to go on here. Remember I said, don't trust any of us? So cardiologist, and she's like, oh my God, all this dangerous stuff, cardiologist. We're seeing all of these people with AFib showing up in the 20s and 30s, and it is caused by the monster drinks, right? Caffeine, a scheduled drug. Caffeine is a controlled substance. Really good one. And so bitter orange, anybody like Earl Grey tea? Hell yeah. Bitter orange is what's in there. A drug. It is not dangerous. Ephedrine, mahuang, a Chinese herb, is banned. It's illegal for the last 20 years. I still get to buy it. And one of the weeds out in the yard contains it anyway. It's a weed in your yard. Seta cordifolia is actually banned to take across state lines. It's a wire weed. It's in your yard. The root's full of ephedrine. And so that isolated compound, you can make meth out of it. Damn, I shouldn't have said that. That's why you have to sign out for Sudafed, right? But it's good for colds and flu. It's phenomenal. It's a bronchial dilator, so it opens up your lungs just like the inhalers do. Super effective and safer than the alkaloid ephedrine, but it is banned on a national level. So blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, this cardiologist, how has she seen all this? There must be this illegal trade of this ephedra out there. Blah, 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 blah. She's beating up on our industry. And she, after tweeting out to her 7,000 followers, I wonder if that influenced her decisions. Because if you got 70,000 followers, she's making money every time she tweets and people click on that crap. Follow the money. Yeah. So literally, we're all suspect, literally, if we're doing that kind of crap. And nothing that she said is backed up. Oh, wait, I got this last one. They were beating up on all of these. I click on all these links to find it. Ashwagandha. There was one, I think it was a death. 73-year-old woman. Oh, no, she just got an arrhythmia. She didn't even die. I have so many 73-year-olds who don't drink enough water and going to end up with arrhythmias, irregular heartbeat. Like, that's so common. Of the number one selling herb for the last 5 years is ashwagandha worldwide. It is the number one seller. It's probably one of the safer herbs, except, what did we say earlier? It was a nightshade. So maybe the 73-year-old had a nightshade sensitivity. If the doctors bothered to sit there and ask a few questions and learn some botany, they might have figured out how to make this woman a lot better rather than just saying, don't do herbs, they're dangerous. One report worldwide, a single case, and they want to point that out. Tell me another, like, no drug would ever be recommended if we went at one single adverse event. We would all be dead. So literally, yay. Online sources, there's a crap ton. The one on the bottom, I have not personally, I've been to their website, but you have to pay. So if you're in the medical profession, MD, something like that, I've heard really nice things, and it's written by both herbalists and MDs and pharmacists and chemists and all these other fancy things.
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I just have to say, I was at the dentist yesterday, and I just had this conversation with the hygienist, and she actually sat there and kind of almost called the people who do the natural things, almost like quacks.
Those weirdos.
But yet she told me that she takes a handful of supplements every day.
That's funny.
Yeah. So she's okay with the supplements, but not with the natural stuff, which is like,
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I will say there's another 50 slides that were just not, they were relevant, but not one of them. Dang it. My really cute one about the PKPE. Oh, was it? Okay, good. If anybody like this, the slides at all will be on the recording. If you're like, no, I want to know all of it, please email the school or I check all the emails. So, but email the school and I'll send you the slides. And if you make $1 million off them, just give me credit and 10%. Then you will, everybody online and in person, you all will get a copy of the recording. Take a couple of days. But we'll put it up on YouTube for you and we'll email you out a link. So thanks for listening to me rant fanatically. I hope I didn't scare anybody from herbs. I want you to feel safer. Separate by 4 hours or as close as you can get. Make sure you're using good quality stuff and don't do herbs and drugs for the same thing, like for real. And sour and bitter will change your processing crap through your body. Like literally, it's that simple. It's how I've been practicing for 25 years successfully with it. And I haven't heard many people. No. And ask questions. I can talk really. And if you run away, please go out and make a garden and see how pretty it is before you leave. Thank you all for giving up your Friday night.
Thank you.
Yeah. What? No questions? You guys are too easy.
That you were talking about.
Oh, that was the bottom. The efficacy was the newest one, and I heard from it was Donna Yance put that one out, and I looked at it, I liked it, but I haven't ponied up the cash yet to check it out. I will say I have the AHPA, the American Herbal Products Association, on there. They do have a botanical safety thing you can pay like 50, $100 or something for. It's not worth it.
Okay.
I like the organization. I appreciate supporting them. I gave my money, but let's just say I didn't pay for the re-up. It was not helpful. Well, thank you. You're welcome. I see questions.
Chronic pain, and recently I was having breathing problems, and I didn't want to be sick.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking a steroid for my breathing because we had all these allergies, and I could not. And I took the steroid, and it like changed my life. Like I was like, I could breathe. I didn't have the
It
pain.
does what it says.
I didn't have the pain. I didn't have like my teeth. I have teeth problems. It's just like totally. And I was like, great. And then guess what? You know, I had to get off. I took off of it considering for a couple of weeks. And then recently I'm having more teeth problems. So then they give me the steroid again. And it's like, now it's not, the pain didn't help as, the steroid doesn't help as much
And
after the second dose.
yeah, you build up
everything.
tolerance. They have to go higher and higher.
Yeah.
It's steroids are great. But they suppress your immune system.
Mhm.
So your risks of C. diff and a bunch of other things will greatly improve. It breaks down your bones. That would include your teeth. So osteoporosis would be worse. It slows wound healing,
I already have that problem anyway.
right? And a bunch of other crap.
Okay.
So like, no, don't be in pain.
I wanted something different. So I asked, because I see if I could do food sensitivities, because I've always had the allergy thing, but they've never said anything about what kind of allergies. Because I never, they do 50 tests on my skin. I don't have anything.
Those aren't very active.
But I know that I have allergies because I have like stomach, all kinds of pain
Have
issues.
you come into clinic yet?
I need to.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
because I mean, because sugar is like one of my love.
Yeah. Right. What's not to love?
Yeah.
Except the side effects.
Okay, so, yeah, so I mean, I don't know, so you'd recommend, coming here?
Clinic or not. I mean, I always say the difference between student clinic and doctor's clinic is it's 6 days a week. We have practitioners in here. 3 nights a week, we have the students in here. Price and experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, acupuncture works wonderful, but then I eat and then I get pain again. It's like, it's just so temporary.
Yeah, and acupuncture, they should be talking to you about diet and herbs and all that other good stuff. They don't know. Most acupuncturists don't do herbs.
They don't, no, they don't want to,
They're trained in it, but it's like, no.
They don't want to do that, no.
At the very least, get in here and see some of the herb stuff.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Where's your garden?
Oh, out back. You can go around the front. Is just as easy as anything. Yeah. Enjoy. Hey.
Well, in every spot. We got a die right there. We both have lupus.
Oh,
I
shit.
used my daughter, myself.
Yeah. Oh, wait. You brought your daughter.
daughter.
Oh, yeah.
One and done.
So,
And I have my lupus 2
okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
I went holistic. I used to get blood transfusions.
Oh,
I used
shit.
to do, it's all messed up.
Yeah.
My daughter says, Mom. And when I first got diagnosed 20 years ago as a deputy, and a box of pills. So like, here. So I was a zombie. I was on Keppra. I was having seizures.
Oh, way to go.
I went cold turkey.
Oh shit, that was fun.
Didn't go closer.
Well,
I
Pete.
slowed her down.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would have been ugly.
Yeah.
With certain herbs
Like
and
you did.
being anesthesia, and then a
Oh,
blood
amazing.
transfusion.
I will
But
say
yeah,
lupus,
But
stress and food sensitivity usually.
And I tell her that
here, never
she
try.
was very, very bad patient.
Doctor.
You know what? I also
Sitting
say,
over here behind me. Like, don't bring like that. Like,
How about allergies?
yeah,
My daughter
what are
did
you
to me
doing?
too, just
What are
saying.
you doing to make yourself have the allergy? I wanted to come. I didn't know. I do. I wanted to say, can you please help me save my life? I don't know what's happening right now. Like
Yeah.
I'm going through, and it's probably stress related a lot to do
Yeah.
with it. But I've been like sick. And how do I become a patient? Like I've always wanted to see an herbalist.
yeah, yeah.
I just
They'll get you up front. If not, call in the morning and we'll get you in here. Student doctor's clinic, whatever.
they gave me steroids. I've never
I
taken
don't
them.
know, see it.
I've been
Yeah.
completely holistic for over 20 years with my lupus.
We'll get a little fancier.
Yeah, and I
That's all right.
just they gave me a steroid today. So it's like my first time taking it because I just feel like I don't know what else to do. Like none of my natural stuff's working.
Especially if it's like your first time taking it. You'll get your house clean, you're gonna feel great.
Yeah. So I told myself, I was like, this is the first time, Bianca. So just
It's not the end of the
yeah,
world.
just do it and feel better and then go back to what you know works.
And then get your butt in here, bring blood
Thank
work,
you.
bring your supplements,
I literally
All right.
got a panel.
bring all
I
the
got the
shit with you.
script. Yeah.
Like it's what I always say is like you used to go into the doctor like my elbow hurts. All right. That's all you're allowed to talk about. We only talk about you. We want all the shit.
Yeah.
Like everything, bring the
I
herbs,
just
bring the
ordered a panel
supplements.
today, so I got my script and going to LabCorp probably tomorrow.
And you're like that. So pre-diabetic is bullshit. They said, no, I'm
I
just.
mean, no, it's we need to fix that.
They're like 5.7. I'm here and 6.4. I'm diabetic.
I wish I would have
I
been
don't
at the
want-
beginning.
Yeah.
I'm so mad. we were
Yeah,
at
because
86.
We drove for holidays. So
oh dang. I appreciate you.
yeah, I drove. My grandson, my grandson, babysitter at my girlfriend's house.
Oh,
So it was a lot. I was
I
like, God.
appreciate y'all coming
So
down.
it was worth it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We'll sign up for your stuff.
Yeah.
Two easy questions. So
Yeah.
I've been on the hunt because I do my tea with the little strings in the
Oh,
bag,
yeah.
because I want bags with no plastic.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably know the answer to this. Do you know any that you can fold? And obviously, if you're ironing them, there's plastic to, you know what I mean?
So do you have the bag? And I don't know, I hate to say this, I don't know where we got them. Like we have them in the tea truck and we use them in the apothecary, but they're paper and they're string and they're, yeah. And I didn't know we had these because we had used the little iron ones.
With a little video to me,
Yeah, they do.
there's
Literally, it's just open and it's just.
those,
Okay.
because I reached up, I'm
don't
looking for
think there's-
something that looks prettier to package.
Yeah, these
I
are
may
pretty.
not find it.
Yeah,
so-
these are ugly. The other way to go is with the muslin bags and they're reusable. And so like, if you're selling a product, like you could make a pretty container
Okay.
and then give them the reusable muslin bag. And then they can rinse it out and it's better for the waste stream and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I did, but even finding those, I had to hunt because everything, if you dug deep,
I was really happy, but yeah, they look
there
like,
was something in them,
Mhm.
almost every single one.
yeah.
Next time you see Michelle Bosworth, just talk to her, tell her you met the shepherd.
Oh, cool.
It's actually my farm.
Oh, no shit.
Nice.
She was insistent that we would have a very condensed, conversation. It's sort of a lot.
Oh, that's
I'm
awesome.
Sten, by the way.
Hey.
I've got an appointment with you in July.
Oh,
I just
awesome.
want to say hello. and thank
Awesome.
you.
Oh, actually, I remember the conversation from her.
Do
Like
you?
she said, like, no, you got to get him in. I was like, I told the front desk, like, go ahead, get him in. So
Yeah,
well,
that's
that's
my
awesome.
wife. We'll see you in July.
Awesome. Looking
Sure.
forward to it.
Thank you.
Who do you recommend? There was a person that you recommend to do blood work, right? Like a
Mm.
really well-rounded panel.
There's not a specific person. You can go like to get insurance to pay for it, you got to go through a doctor.
Yeah, well, that's that. Yeah, I won't get the blood work I want. But
And so if you pay for it yourself, you can just go to Walk-In Labs online, walkinlabs.com. You pay for whatever the hell you want. Like, and like for $200-300, you can go crazy. I used to do like, I didn't have insurance for a long time, had the hemochromatosis, so I had to track that pretty carefully. So I would budget $300 to do it twice a year. and I do the CBC, CNP, the boring ass stuff, A1C, vitamin D, iron panel. And then I would like, all right, I got about $150 left. What do I want to do? And I was doing some crazy, wasn't even concerned. I was like, I wonder what my CoQ10 level is. Boop. And I would go over 300. That was my magic line. And
What's the name of that one?
walkinlabs.com. Yeah, and just
friend knows of a company. It's actually they'll do 2 panels, one
Oh,
now,
yeah.
one in 6 months for $100.
there is some new companies out there that are doing that. And I've seen them on Facebook.
But I don't know what it is. But
Mark Hyman.
Yeah, that one.
Right, so yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the one she's talking about.
75, and then my sister did it.
Or
So they
take my phone number.
test your
I
hormones the
Mhm.
first one, and then it's an upcharge on the second time.
17.
Oh, that's interesting.
He's getting so, I mean, he's fascinating, but he's getting so gobbled up by media.
Yeah, without a doubt. But there's a couple of ones. I don't know this one she's talking about that it was only $100, and that's just me. Yeah,
More in
yeah.
some of the events.
That's
She
nice.
told me I've gotten blood work, so I didn't need it, but I can find out from her because
Because the doctor, I mean, they won't even, they're like. what do
You got to fight for a B12.
Yeah. mean,
I
it's
hate to say that 3-part blood work class. Some of what I tell you is like, tell your doctor you're a raw food vegan and you're really fatigued and your hair's falling out, and that will, you have to say the right words or emphasize the right things to trigger. It's, some of them are like, they're happy to, some are just assholes and they won't, but they need to be able to ethically and legally check the box so that your insurance pays for it. And so you have to give them a reason.
Book that has, I used to do coding.
Oh, yeah, so you know what I'm talking
They
about.
just came out with a new one that
Yeah.
and they're.
But you have
not
to
acknowledging biomarkers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not
I
really-
get that.
But yeah, I did code.
But just to be able to like, you need to say fatigue, no, yeah, I don't supplement, no fatigue, I have fatigue and I don't eat meat, and that will force them to do iron and other things. So,
I used to, my grandma did all the coding, and yeah, if you didn't chart properly, you were getting kicked out of the hospital. We're not getting.
yeah, or the insurance will pay for it, and that pisses everybody off. So,
I don't think, but thank you. Yeah.
you know,
Random, because I know you said you wanted to chat. What can I do with this echinacea leaf?
Oh, I want to hear about.
I won't say it's completely useless,
The
but
guy was like, walked out. I was like, I'm just gonna come
it's
back.
not going to do a whole lot. What'd you get it for?
For my cat to see. Well, I knew echinacea was great for across the
Flu
board,
infection, yeah.
and I've heard cats like it. And my cat walked away, and it was just like, what? He did like the valerian, of course, the catnip.
Right.
And he was just didn't care. So that's why I got it. And I was like, okay, I can make something, maybe like a salve with it, or
You might make like add it with some other kind of histamine stuff, or maybe a bug bite thing.
okay.
It's great for bug bites. The leaf
Okay.
would probably be like a little stinging nettles or plantain,
Okay.
or just like, especially for the folks who get like hard, so like every time a mosquito bites them, it's summertime. So yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I want, you said valerian root, and I pulled up, as soon as I opened up your book, like that's the page I went to. I feel like it didn't work for me. I had bought a liquid. I go to Great American for years.
Yeah.
Without.
It's so funny. So there's specific indications for every herb, or most every herb. So like passion flower, for people who are anxiety or staying awake because they keep ruminating, they keep thinking about the same thing over and over. It's one thing. So valerian's for the opposite. It's for somebody who lays there at night and has they think about everything everywhere that
Well,
never followed door.
Everywhere. I'm all over.
But if it's one
The
thing,
thing is,
that makes a
I
difference.
took it. It worked. Knocked me out. Slept great. I woke up like
Yeah.
just rejuvenated. And then, like the next few times I use it, I'm like, do I need to up my dose?
Shouldn't have to, but so usually Western Chinese doesn't matter. From combining herbs together to try to address the pattern of what's out of whack. And so like this idea of like, this is good for, doesn't work very often.
It's great for my kid though.
Yeah, well, that's good. So,
He's like, Mommy, can I have that sleeping stuff?
Oh, that's
Those are
awesome.
Nasty sleeping.
yeah. But I always say, yeah, it smells nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's like, we kind of go on whatever system you're using. We're like, do you run hot or cold, wet or dry, deficient, excess? Because sometimes you want to knock somebody unconscious. Other times you want to nourish them so they sleep better. And so that's why we see people quiz them to death and
Yeah, that's
ask all those stupid questions.
But it's necessary. Then I want to ask about echinacea.
Yeah.
I love it, love it, love it. They say it's terrible for lupus, so I've stayed away from it for years. I don't touch the stuff, but it's in this drink that I love. It's tea. So every once in a while, it's like one of my guilty pleasures.
Does it make anything worse?
You don't tell the difference. I can't
It's-
tell the difference for
on-
nothing. I've been completely honest with my lupus for years. I don't, so when I
So
do
it,
hear,
it specifically stimulates the immune system, which obviously is autoimmune. It's one of those things where I'm like, no, that'll screw it up.
yeah,
But it's probably like the leaf.
yeah.
It probably doesn't do shit.
Yeah. I just watch the ingredients on
And
everything.
the dosage is probably so small.
Yeah.
I mean, don't drink it every day.
Same thing too. So when I come here, will I see you?
So you, like, if you come during the daytime, I still see patients 3 days a week. And so it's, I am, but it's probably take you 2 months to get in. And so the other practitioners here are great. Student clinic, you're going to see a student, there'll probably be a couple in the room. It's either me or one other person who's a supervisor. It's a crapshoot when they get it. So either way, it's
I
fine.
I need a doctor. I need it.
Yeah.
I've talked shit like,
My-
oh, I'm gonna.
my
get
students are good.
But like, I really, and I believe that, especially if they're
Yeah.
learning from you.
Yeah.
But I'm terrified now because I'm just buying shit. So apparently what I've been doing has been working, but like, I really want to be careful now. You
And
know?
like,
I just lost a set of twins.
Oh,
I feel
shit.
like it wasn't
That's-
something that I did.
no, but that's probably why you're getting a flare up
Yeah.
and it's out of control.
And
A,
it just,
you lost a lot of your essence,
Yeah.
piece of you.
6 months.
It takes a long time to recover from something like that, physically, spiritually,
All
emotionally.
of that.
And so seeing what that is allows us to be able to get you back, especially if you were doing that good by yourself, just like doing your Google
The
homework.
rash stopped. Now it's going back.
Yeah.
It's spreading. And I'm just like, okay, like, let's just get it back right now. But I don't.
I honestly, they'll probably be pretty easy. It'll probably be pretty. And I would say like, get it and like the other, like I can safely say this now, all of the practitioners here have studied with me. They're like the acupuncturists as well. Like they're all good herbalists and they've all studied with me for over 2 years. So like, I mean, I would say literally if you're like, no, I'm really freaking struggling, like get in like quick as you can.
Okay.
Price is obviously different, and I think my students are good. We that's a service, but it's like it's nighttime. It's not like you drive a long ass way.
Well, I do. I live an hour away.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass. So like,
Ain't nobody
figure that
worth
into
it.
your sanity
That's
and all of
like
that.
when I walked in here, just the energy it was like, this is where you need to be.
Yeah.
Like I get you.
Yeah.
We have fun stuff.
I will drive an hour.
Yeah.
I'm from St. Pete, so like,
Okay,
have my
go
family
visit some
come
friends or something. Yeah.
family, and then stop by
Yeah.
the doctor.
And even if it's Ruthie or somebody else that goes in with
They're
her,
still good.
you still sit here and consult about it
Oh yeah.
beforehand.
Ruthie
and then-
knows as much as I do.
Yeah.
I just show off more.
Just show off, pop your collar. No, I really want to thank you. I wish I wish I was on time, but I'm so thankful that you said you're going to
I'm
show.
gonna be mean for a second. I want to touch your. You use a lot of moisturizer.
Not a lot, no, but I make a mix. I do.
Did anemic in the past.
Listen, not really. No.
Anemic, me.
Can
just a
I be
little bit.
really rude and stick a
Me?
tongue at me? Not too bad, actually. Never mind. I lied. Your hand's very dry.
Always.
Weird thing. So that's why I make a mix. So I do like this rose water and glycerin thing. Someone told me that glycerin was really
How
good.
back
for
is your
me.
pen?
My hands being this
You
kill.
extra bendy or anything?
Oh yeah.
So go.
He picks on me like this too.
Yeah,
so.
Google.
No, I want you to pick
Go.
on me. What else you want me to do?
No.
No one way.
All right, come on now, you want to be weird? How far?
Yeah.
See that? That's not supposed to be like that.
No.
So look up hypermobility.
I was saying for the.
That won't answer everything, but no, it's just kind of yeah.
I've got it.
Yeah.
Your garden is immaculate.
Did you walk out there?
I try to say, I don't see one thing.
Yeah.
You know what?
No, it's
That's
covered
right.
in.
That's not your garden.
Stop, no, listen. And the girl behind me, she asked me, now, what did you say? The west and the west. I said, hey.
All the herbs, all the weeds out there
Yeah.
are also medicine. Like all this, every piece of grass.
She walked with me. I said, hey, how you know him? Acupuncture. She goes,
Yeah, I can't wait to get.
and then she goes,
And if any of y'all have questions online, feel free to holler at me.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yeah. Online.
Yeah.
so sorry.
No, you're fine. That's why we're standing here is to
Yeah.
talk.
I will definitely be back. You got the list for the classes?
I got it.
You got all-
You're
Well,
worth
I
the
went on your
traffic. You were
website
worth it.
too and,
Yeah.
and
You were
read
so
a
worth
lot
it.
about it.
Oh,
so-
thank
You
you.
were worth it. It was
I
crazy.
appreciate it.
Oh my God.
It's not, actually, that's not bad, but your fingers really
You
sweaty.
know what? If she lose flare up, her hands go numb
I get the numbness.
and blue and
Yeah.
turn.
We got you.
Yeah, he got you. Look at God. Look at mom. I tell you.
They almost didn't come.
She wasn't.
I had 106 fever last night.
Shit.
Last night chills. I thought it was a lupus flare up,
Yeah,
which
God,
it probably was
that was a
too.
really bad lupus flare.
But I've been having this mucus cough thing for 2 months.
Two.
So
Do you know what Spanish needles is?
No.
The weed out in your yard?
oh
Go to the
so I
Little-
believe I
The
do.
little two-pronged sticky things that get in your
Yes.
the weed cell.
Tell your
For
husband.
real.
Sound like Bruce.
The little green thing.
It's got like, it looks like a ratty looking daisy or something.
What's the name of it?
Daisy, the little white flower.
Widens out.
Yeah, but I'll show it to you.
No, that's dandelion.
No.
Yeah. so
Put it
it's
down.
like a-
What's it called?
Mr. Lindy,
Yes,
I know what it is.
can I ask a question?
please.
These guys.
I live in Palm Bay, Florida. I'm all the way on the East Coast, a
Oh,
little
nice.
south of Orlando.
Thanks for hanging.
Yeah, so I won't be able to get to you to do your doctors and see you if I wanted to see you. I was
Yeah.
just wondering, is there a way I could do that on Zoom?
I don't, and I don't do consults. But I know a few of the people here do, and like, I don't know if you heard, but like everybody here is great, and they've
Yeah.
all done 2 years or longer with me.
That's
if-
fine.
Yeah, but they're all, and they all have my ear if they need it.
So I go.
I basically
Oh, that's
look at it.
great.
Yeah.
So how would I set that up? Would I just call the school and tell
Yeah.
them I want to set up something?
Yeah, to see one of the practitioners, just call the acupuncture and herbal therapies number, because that's the appointments and such up there, and they'll get you squared away.
That's great. Can you give me that phone number, please?
Sure, it's 727
Uh-huh.
557.
Okay, I'm gonna read it back. It's 727-551-0857.
You got it.
Oh, that's great. I just had another quick question. I
Yeah.
suffer from migraines really bad, and it's been over about 12 years. I have an adverse reaction to medication, so I can't take anything. And the last one I took turned my lips blue and sent me to the
Oh, jeez.
ER.
That was
But I
exciting.
can breathe. So it was just like one of those really weird, awkward things. So I don't take medication anymore. But I'm starting to have tremors from the migraines, where the right side of my face will get really tight, and then my neck gets really tight. And then with that, it's also causing cognitive problems where I have short-term memory loss. I can't remember words. And I know it's all kind of connected. Is that
Yeah.
something I can also bring to the clinic to address, to say maybe we can figure out something? Because right now, doctors can't help me. They don't know what to tell me what to do. And I've been on my own with this for 12 years and it's getting worse. And I would love to be able, go ahead.
I was going to say herbs a lot of times can work on that. We might find an acupuncturist over there, but have they done imaging on the brain to make sure there's no structural things or anything?
Yeah.
Good.
I
Good.
had my blood pressure spiked to 180 over something, and they thought I was having
Ooh.
a stroke, and
Really?
it wasn't. So that was kind of a fluke, because it's only ever happened once where I was having the tremors and shaking.
When are you taking them?
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was I had a CAT scan, MRI, EEG. I had all those tests done, and nothing came out of it for
Okay.
saying.
No, that's good. Not that we.
Yeah,
you know.
no, I mean, of course it's great. But then it's like, okay, if it's not any of that, then it's still frustrating, because it's like, well, what's causing
Right.
it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
will
yeah.
say, like, in a case like that, it's very
Mhm.
likely that we'll be able to figure out what's going on, and we'll get some herbs going on that. So,
Yeah, because I've been studying, I started with Rosemary Gladstar like 20 years ago.
oh, wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I stopped for a while, and I went to medicine trying to give it a chance to try to balance things out, because I believe in both. But
Yeah.
it's just been frustrating, where now I'm just like, if anything, if I could just, the tremors are new, and I know it's emotional. It's also, but they just come on. And so it rotates. It'll start with my arm in my shoulder and my hand shaking. Then my head will bounce like I'm in a club back and forth. And then my leg will start shaking, but it's only on the right side. My left side doesn't do it at all.
Yeah.
and
No,
nobody can figure out
crazy.
anything. And I started, yeah, it's nuts. So I started thinking maybe
Yeah.
it was nerves. So I was gonna look at nervines, and I'm actually taking Maria Noel Groves's
Oh
Body
yeah.
into Balance. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm
She's
doing,
super
so I'm
nice.
right, yeah, yeah. So and I know Lorna Maury, so
Yeah.
from Herbalista, she's always
I was
talked
gonna
so high
say, how
about
do you
you.
know Lorna? She's amazing. I love Lorna.
Yes, Lorna is the best. So I've been taking her herbal. I did her herbalista classes, and whenever she's got the
Oh,
Zoom stuff, I'm always on there with her. I love her
oh,
to pieces.
no, she's over in
Yeah,
Europe right now. She's in Scotland or
yeah,
Ireland or some
Ireland.
crap. I think
Yeah,
she's still
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No,
No, she's still there. And then I was just talking to her recently, and she always tells me to go to you. She's like, "Oh, find him and
oh,
to make sure you go over
oh,
there." So I've
that's
taken
so
the blood
sweet.
work class. Yeah, she's amazing. And I've taken the blood work class with you last year. So I have like things in order where I'm trying to put things together. It's just I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do, because I'm like 3.5, maybe 3.5 hours from you across the state.
That's a long haul.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of hard. And my husband's 73, so I'm
Oh,
54. But
okay.
it's like it's just that long distance. I just figured
Yeah.
if there was
No, that's
something
a
we
long
could
haul.
do.
So
Mm-hmm.
for sure, like just give a call. Like there would be somebody in the office tomorrow or Monday, and they'll get
Uh-huh.
you to somebody as quick as we can. Oh,
No,
just tell
that's
me when to go.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I truly always love your classes. So thank you so much for
Oh,
this. This has
thank
been great.
you.
Yeah, yeah. My name is Teresa Rivera. So thank you
All
so
right,
much, Mr.
Teresa.
Lindy. Yeah, I
I
really appreciate it. All right,
no,
have a
my
great
pleasure.
night.
You too. And
Thanks.
say hi to Lorna for me. I haven't talked to her in
Yes.
ages.
I definitely will let her know. Okay, take care. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now I forgot.
And actually, I'm going to say, anybody else online? Going once, going twice.
Shut you off.
All
Locking the door.
right, y'all. Y'all have a great night, and I'm gonna try to figure out how to close this thing. Oh, you think I'd know at this point, huh?
Somebody else is helping me.
I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can actually see. I'm just gonna close it. All right, y'all. Good night.